The evils implicit in our condition prevail over what is good. Even if they were balanced, our problems would not be solved.
But what's this? Yeah.
It's gonna be in the best interest of America.
Indubitably.
Of America.
Yeah. How's that going?
Of America.
Yeah. How do you've done it so many times? How do you still have any balls left? It's happened so much.
Of America.
Yeah, man, it didn't mean anything. It's almost as if it didn't mean anything, your faux transfer.
Excuse me, why are you so rude? Just wait, I'm calling on people.
Thank you.
Politics and in life. When people come around, I just think it's important to accept it for what it is. This doesn't mean that we should allow ourselves to be made into a sucker, be fooled by people that are pretending to be converts, but it does mean that we should be open-minded about folks that are changing their point of view. It's important to recognize that a person can be genuinely fooled, or they can be blinded by their own motivated reasoning or tribal prejudices, and as a result they end up participating in something that's true nature they didn't really see. I know that might be hard to believe given how obvious.
Tim's gracious because Tim wants the pie to grow, like the coalition pie.
Trump has been for so long now.
And I guess the other pie. The econ pie.
Compartmentalization is a hell of a drug.
You got to grow the coalition so the pie can go back to growing. So you got to be gracious to odious figures and fools and knaves of all sorts.
Tribal.
Yeah,
That's true nature they didn't really see.
Yeah.
I know that might be hard to believe given how obvious and awful Trump has been for so long now, but
what is it?
Compartmentalization is a hell of a drug. Tribal mindset is a hell of a drug.
Crush
We all
Trump.
seen it. And so I
Crush
think that
Trump by hugging the Joe Rogan drone, who is now, along with Rogan, outraged that there is a Trump. You know, so hug your Rogan bro so you can grow the pie, the coalition pie.
For us to ever...
You know what? I can't argue with it in terms of realpolitik. You know, I can't. But then, Tim, you should be ever more jaded. Like, if things go back to normal, you should, like, be ever more jaded. Like, you should be the jaded. I do a jaded versus naive thing now. Jaded versus naive trajectory graphic. Oh, man, me and my smart art. I've gone back to smart art. But, like, you know, is Tim, you know, the right cluster here? No, Tim's not the right cluster. You know, Tim would be corrupt in the best of times because, you know, he's employed by Billy Crystal.
But compartmentalization is a hell of a drug. Tribal mindset is a hell of a drug. We all,
you know, has the Bulwark admitted that it's an ethnic cleansing?
seen it. And
Bulwark. I don't know if they spend time talking about it. I barely watch anymore.
I think that
it's so Groundhog Day.
In order for us to ever be forward,
we gotta crush Trump. Yeah, we gotta. I'm saying that it's Groundhog Day, like for 11 years. It's like, it's now. We gotta crush. It's Groundhog Day of crush Trump.
That there are people.
Sorry, Tim. I keep disrupting your grace in victory and growing the pie aspirations.
You know, compartmentalization is a hell of a drug. Mindset is a hell of a drug. We all have seen it. And so I think that in order for us to ever move forward out of this awful place that we're in, we have to accept that there are people.
You just want things to not be as bad, like in your own life, so you compromise.
You
pretend the odious aren't as odious, and you welcome them in.
Change.
If they want, do they want in though? You know, if they're negging Trump, doesn't mean they're, you know, sending apology letters to Kamala.
Their engagement with politics, their engagement with the country, their engagement with their fellow Americans, and trying to do the best we can to foster an environment where they can come on over. I want to play a bit from Tim Dillon. I think it's fair to call him an America First comedian.
Come on over, baby. He did the tits, the what's her face husband's tits LARPing thing. Tim did it. I just saw the thumb. I didn't. Maybe we'll have fun one day with Tim and the tits, where he LARPs as the husband. The bimboification. But hang on, he's gonna
foster an environment where they can.
Tim Dillon.
I'll play a bit from Tim Dillon. I think it's fair to call him an America First comedian. I don't know if he's MAGA, but if you listen to him,
he's about to make his debut. No Avail, I guess.
Comic standpoint, he sounds a lot like Marjorie Taylor Greene, and has had Marjorie Taylor Greene on the show and given her a love up about how she should run for president. So that's kind of his politics. I want to play a little bit from his show over the past weekend for you.
So, by the way, it's the greatest con in history. I mean, truly.
It's the greatest. And I don't take great in like a good way. It is truly the most successful con in history. It makes Enron look like...
Yeah, I think Tim Dillon's debut and probably only appearance on this channel is going to be like his best moment ever.
Doing three-card Monte on the straight. Anything that you can remember and identify as a complete and utter scam, this is the greatest con in history.
Yeah.
To run as an America first, and you're going to take care of America, and then turn around and go, all of these things, take care of Medicare, Medicaid, we're going to do it, that we're fighting wars.
Oh, wait, what?
And you're going to take care of America,
Yeah.
and then turn around and go, all of these things, take care of Medicare, Medicaid, we've nothing to do with that, we're fighting wars. That's what we're here to do. We're here to have a defense budget of
I swear I didn't set out for this to be like Tim Dillon's only moment on this channel, and yet it'd be his most glorious moment. Like, Tim Dillon's not going to say anything anywhere near as good as this. Like, no way. Like, this is like the moment of Tim Dillon's life. And I was like, you know what? It just happens. I didn't set out to do this.
America first, and you're going to take care of America, and then turn around and go, all of these things, take care of Medicare, Medicaid, we've nothing to do with that, we're fighting wars. That's what we're here to do. We're here to have a defense budget of $1.5 trillion, and we're here to fight wars. It is the greatest scam in history.
Yeah, you really should have seen it like a decade ago.
Got to hand it to him. And I mean, truly, and not, again, not like
he had a long trail of corruption, like a slog trail of corruption, like everything he touched. And I'm like, really? And it's like, yeah, you look into it, everything he touched was corrupt. Yeah, he was the second slot.
Not in a moral way, but...
Actually, I don't think he was ever naive.
Like, you got to hand it to him.
Yeah, Trump doesn't fit in this... Yeah, Trump was never naive.
This is the greatest.
Trump was born corrupt.
About face.
Because he was born to Fred.
In political history that I have really ever seen.
A lot there. I'm not sure we have to hand it to Trump.
Round of applause for Tim Dillon.
Our flowers on this one, I mean, we must be all geniuses if we avoided getting scammed by this two-bit huckster.
Tim's a lot more like me than he lets on.
And
Tim cheats.
Bro rants, the mega bro rants, where they talk about
Tim gives good advice, but then he cheats like seconds later.
Mad they are about this.
Hang on, what?
These bro rants, the mega bro rants, where they talk about how mad they are about this. They never do seem to kind of say, hey, I do have to hand it to the Resist Wine Moms watching MS now. It seems like they have this one. They don't ever do that. So I get it. Many of us listening to this want to shout.
Yeah, what I just said, Tim gets.
At Tim Dillon and be like, you're a fucking moron. All right? I want to do that. I'd love for this entire monologue to have just been about how people who are fooled by Trump have baby brains and they don't have the ability to abstract and worried I'm being a little ableist when I discuss the manosphere since...
Tim, you just said it in public, like on your own platform. Like, Tim, you just...
object permanent the ability to abstract.
You're as bad as me and worse.
And about how people...
Even I wouldn't be that sweeping.
Fooled by Trump have baby brains and they don't have the ability to abstract and I worry that I'm being a little ableist when I discuss the manosphere since they haven't achieved object permanence and they're too stupid to understand that one of the stupidest Americans pulled the rug over their eyes. I'd love to do that. Find a monologue about that very satisfying. But, here we are.
We're here. Both ways.
And I think that it sounds like...
He's a lot like a woman. He wants to have it both ways. No! I guess I also gave the advice that I myself refuse to follow.
So, fundamentally believe that humans are redeemable, that people are redeemable.
Yeah.
They have good and bad impulses, that they have good and bad judgments, that we all do. That people like Tim Dillon or Marjorie Taylor Greene can move forward now and use their skills of podcasting.
Can the ignoble turn noble? How many people have you known in life where you were so frustrated with them because they were ignoble, and then after a certain period they eventually turned noble? No, it seems like the noble were always noble and the ignoble were always, ignoble.
While bimbo-fying themselves. And use their skills of podcast ranting while bimbo-fying themselves for good. Maybe Tim Dillon can use his skills for good now. It seems like he is. And so...
Yeah, himbo.
The barbarian phenomenon, which ineluctably appears at certain historical junctures, is perhaps an evil, but a necessary evil. Further, the methods employed to combat it precipitate its advent, since, in order to be effective, they must be ferocious, which is what civilization is unwilling to lend itself to. Should it be willing, it would not succeed for lack of vigor. The best thing for it, once on the decline, is to grovel before the barbarian. Moreover, no civilization is reluctant to do this, knowing too well that the barbarian represents, that he already incarnates, the future. Once the empire was invaded, its literary men, one thinks of an Apollinaris Sidonius, an Enodonius, a Cassiodorus, quite naturally became the panegyrists of the Gothic kings. The rest, the great mass of the conquered, took refuge in administration or agriculture, for they had gone too soft to be permitted a career of arms. Converted to Christianity out of lassitude, they were incapable of ensuring its triumph by themselves. The conquerors gave them a hand. A religion is nothing by itself. Its fate depends on those who adopt it.
So whether or not I want this job, I did not ask for this job. I love working for President Trump. It's the greatest honor of a lifetime. And if President Trump chooses to keep me as acting, that's an honor. If he chooses to nominate me, that's an honor. If he chooses to nominate somebody else and I go back to being the DAG, that's an honor. If he chooses to nominate somebody else and asks me to go do something else, I will say, thank you very much. I love you, sir.
Oh, be quiet, little man. There are two kinds of tones: the howling of a storm about mountaintops and your fart. You are a fart, and you believe to smell of violets. I cure your neurotic misery, and you ask whether I am in Who is Who?
This Easter, millions of Christians all over the globe will be reminded that because of what Jesus did on the cross, all of us can live every day with hope in God's promise,
Bigger than you
knowing
think.
that in the end, evil and wickedness will not prevail. In the spirit
I
of
guess
joy,
when you fake it, you assume so many of them fake it that there isn't actually billions. There's just millions. What did I do? I turned down.
celebrate the extraordinary
I'm sorry, President. I didn't mean to silence you. I really didn't. I didn't mean to silence you. I'm very sorry. Oh man, this is just so bad. It's shit book. It's hard to find videos of him sometimes, so I wound up on shit book. But when you pause it, it silences. But hang on, he says more stuff here that I can say stuff about. But when you pause it, it fucking...
evil and wickedness
so
will
bad.
not prevail.
Sure thing,
In the
bud.
spirit of joy and renewal this Easter, we also celebrate the extraordinary resurrection of faith and religion in America.
Yeah.
As I have often said,
You more than anyone have reasons to celebrate. Oh man, it's so bad.
God,
Hang on.
in churches
It's so bad.
prevail. In the spirit of joy and renewal this Easter, we also celebrate the extraordinary resurrection of faith and religion in America.
Very, very
As I have often
advantageous.
said, to be a great nation, you must have religion and you must have God.
Yeah, to succeed.
In churches across the
To succeed at con, you must. Like the ultimate con. Man.
faithful than they have at any time
It's like-
in many, many years.
It's like more user unfriendly than Reddit. Yeah, I think I'm going to give up.
For the first time in decades. Happy Easter to all. May God bless you. May God bless the United States of America. Our country is doing so well like never before. Thank you.
You are a fart, and you believe to smell of violets.
If he has to keep doing the worst possible thing in any given situation, well, the terminus of that is very clear. The worst possible thing is using nukes.
I mean, you raised the whole question of emancipation and at what cost it comes in at. And you mentioned Amin.
Is it a necessary adolescent phase?
Yeah, the position we on the left keep finding ourselves in is the victims of a sort of three-card trick. We take the example of, say, Iran, which Mr. Terrell dwells upon quite a lot. We said for a long time it was a mistake for the United States to overthrow the government of Iran in 1954, a crime, in fact, and a mistake to impose the Shah. We said if you keep the Shah in power, it won't work. He's a failure, a real tyrant, and there will be hell to pay. When the hell to pay actually comes, and we're proved right, the chaos turns on everybody, and who's identified as the wrong person to have been? We are, for having told you. And we're supposed to take the blame for the collapse of what we always opposed.
Well, this is
the three-card trick that's played throughout this book, and it's played, very widely at the moment by the Reagan
He believes in
campaign.
a world without problems.
Terence Darrow, Mark Twain, Thomas Alva Edison.
And if they lose money on that, will that be tax deductible?
No, they're going to give it to me, you see. I'll get some of the profits from this, and I'll donate it to my church, the American Atheist Church. But they are going to
We can keep going and get that 50,000 up to 55 and 60 is no end. Or we can take a stop and make a little journey into the Middle East and eliminate a big problem. And Pete, I think you were the first one to speak up. And you said, let's do it, because you can't let them have a nuclear weapon.
Excuse me. Why are you so rude? Just wait. I'm calling on people.
Thanks.
James diagnoses the geopolitical state of things.
I think we are edging ever closer to a moment where countries that aren't America and Israel, okay? I think we are edging closer to a moment, and the Spanish Prime Minister has kind of led the way on this. The French Prime Minister has, or the French President has...
James has examples.
Has moved into spaces that are more negative towards the United States than anything we've previously seen. I'm talking about European pushback. France has blocked Israeli planes from flying weapons through its airspace. Italy has refused last-minute permissions for US bombers to land in Sicily. Spain has denied the US use of its bases and airspace for the war. That's particularly hurtful for Donald Trump, because one of the bases in Spain where American personnel are sometimes posted is called Moron. So that must be very, very close to Donald Trump's air base. He probably thinks they've named it after him, just as he keeps naming things in the United States after himself. But it is different for the United Kingdom.
How will it cool down, though? Tell us that part, James.
Because US flags fly at places like Milden Hall and Fairford. They are sort of bases under joint command, or even, I think, and you'll know better
How
than
do we get the cool-tempered to prevail over the hot-headed?
Under US command. So you can't...
Especially in terms of those who control Israel and the US... and Iran, sure.
There are two crucial distinctions.
They're all
to be
too
made.
hot-tempered and bent on getting things their way. Well, how about none of you get your way, including you Iranian crazies? Yeah, fuck Israel, fuck the US, but let's find a way to depose you Iranian crazies and put the secular Iranians in charge. Yeah, how about that? But fuck Dawn and, Gang and Benji, but yeah. Can do all the good things. None of the bad things will come about if we try.
Before we talk about the tightrope that Keir Starmer is trying to walk, the first is the difference between defence and offence. So Keir Starmer refuses to be involved in offensive actions, but he will allow our bases to be used for defensive actions. And defensive actions include attacks on positions that are attacking us or our allies, okay? So that's a crucial thing to understand, the difference between defence and attack.
Tied at the hip.
And like you, Iranian regime, why do you need to indulge your faith and your fear of death and your, coping that you're going to see all the dead ones and the dead ones are going to fuck these 72 hot bitches who haven't been fucked yet? Why do you have to indulge this crap? There ain't no 72 hot bitches. And I hope the Seth MacFarlane bit is true. I hope they go up there and they find 72 dorks, male dorks who are like Neil Gorman from Family Guy, like level dorks, horny dorks who are gay and horny for them.
You let the powerful demand power for the little man, but you yourself are silent. You provide powerful men with more power, or choose weak, malignant men to represent you, and you discover too late that you were always the dupe. I understand you, because time and time again I've seen you naked in body and soul, without your mask, political label, or national pride. Naked as a newborn babe, naked as a field marshal in his underclothes. I've heard you weep and lament. You've told me your troubles, laid bare your love and yearning. I know you and understand you. I'm going to tell you what you are, little man, because I really believe in your great future, because the future undoubtedly belongs to you. Take a look at yourself. See yourself as you really are. Hear what none of your leaders or spokesmen dares to tell you. You're a little man, a common man. Consider the double meanings of these words, little and common. Don't run away. Have the courage to look at yourself.
He's already dead.
By what right are you lecturing me?
Stop.
I see the question in your frightened eyes. I hear it on your insolent tongue, little...
Mincemeat, like the troops.
Of course, in Texas, we cook bacon a little differently than most places. Machine gun bacon.
Since the virtues of barbarians consist precisely in the power of taking sides, of affirming or denying, they will always be celebrated by declining periods. The nostalgia for barbarism is the last word of a civilization, and thereby of skepticism. There is not one of your cities which is pure unless it is those in which the barbarians dwell. In this case, it was perhaps less a matter of licentiousness than of perplexity. Licentiousness, even debauchery, is becoming to a civilization, or at least a civilization adapts itself to them. But perplexity, once it spreads, terrorizes a civilization, which will turn to those who escape it, who are immune to it, and it is then that the barbarian begins to seduce, to fascinate delicate minds in conflict who envy and admire him, sometimes openly, more often in secret, and crave, without always admitting it to themselves, to become his slaves. That they also fear him is undeniable, but this fear, in no way salutary, contributes rather to their future subjection, weakens them, paralyzes them, and drives them deeper into their scruples, their impasses. For them, abdication, their sole solution, involves less a suspension of judgment than a suspension of will.
You are a fart.
The administered world has the tendency to strangle all spontaneity, or at least to channel it into pseudo-activities.
Yeah, jobs.
At least this does not function as smoothly as the agents of the administered world would hope.
Some jobs, let's be fair.
However, spontaneity should not be absolutized.
Most jobs, but hang on, it seems like it's most jobs.
Function as smoothly as the agents of the administered world would hope. However, spontaneity should not be absolutized, just as little as it should be split off from the objective situation or idolized the way the administered world itself is.
Yeah, I think this is all compatible with causality, because he means spontaneity in a human, psychological, interpretive sense. Which is different than the scientific sense.
Otherwise, the axe in the house that never saves the carpenter will smash in the nearest door, and the riot squad will be at the ready.
So the essay is called Resignation, and it's from 1969, and it's read by Oscar with a K, slowed down to 9 or 0.9. And I'm not going to tell you who the author is because I'm embarrassed. This author is getting me to record on him. I'm embarrassed, but it's like, man, I'll give you a clue in a sec here.
Even political undertakings can sink into pseudo activities, into theatre. It is no coincidence.
In 1969, he calls it. He calls your social media. In 1969, it's theatre.
We'll be at the ready.
Listen, he calls it.
Even political undertakings can sink into pseudo activities, into theatre.
Can and do.
It is no coincidence that the ideals of immediate action, even the propaganda of the act, have been resurrected after the willing integration of formerly progressive organizations that now, in all countries of the earth, are developing the characteristic traits of what they once opposed. Yet this does not invalidate
haste. Well, I would say haste.
The critique,
but no one cares much about haste, We got to up the ante on haste by like a 10-fold, 100-fold, if doable. If it's the only path to growth, the economists would say, let's do it. If we get less growth and we're swallowed, it doesn't matter how much you up the ante on haste, says the economist. So here I am. It's April 19th, 2026, and I'm playing a critical culturalist. How did it go? Cultural criticism theory? Critical theory. I'm playing a critical theorist. I'm kind of siding with the critical theorists slowly over the economists. Mostly because of value stuff, not the formula stuff.
In all countries of the earth are developing the characteristic traits of what they once opposed. Yet this does not invalidate the critique of anarchism.
Oh.
Its return is that of a ghost.
Oh.
The impatience with theory that man...
The problem is, it's just anarchists just wouldn't grant that man is ravenous and extravagant, and it's not cultural hocus pocus. No, man just is extravagant, ravenous, very often callous. And you know what, anarchists, like even cruel and petty and spiteful is man. And so like anarchists, pacifists, we can have a cooperative society and we don't need tyranny to pull it off. We can have a free cooperative society types, non-competitive in all the important matters. I really can't just bottom line it. It's very simple. They're wrong because they just can't grant what man is, along with woman. Often, co-conspirators. It's called the family. Yeah, the family is where man and woman co-conspire to pretend that they're not about malice like ever. Because now they got to copulate it and create another one. And as good parents, like they have to convey to the other one that if there's malice in the world, it's not from us. No, we're the good ones. We're your parents, we're the good ones necessarily. Yeah. So there's parental indoctrination. But the initial fault line comes down to nature. Man is just ravenous, spiteful, petty, eager to sneer. Even if you're you've hit 99 home runs and then you strike out. You hit 99 home runs in a row and then, you just embarrassingly strike out. It's like some stupid pitcher that's not even a good pitcher. But you swing 3 times and you miss the damn ball. It's like, they'll sneer at you. It's like they're finally happy that you got your comeuppance because how dare you hit 99 home runs. Man's just eager to sneer and to, turn his betters into his inferiors, it seems. And then he co-conspires with the woman who's like a mirror image of him, but then more pious at heart. So she's more in denial about what she is, But then, they copulate and they create another rung of them, another generational fault line. But I'm here. It's April 19th, 2026, and It's like, okay, I don't care that the economists got the formulae, plural of formula. I don't care that they got it right, despite their many, disputes with each other, different schools of economics. They got some formulae right, demand and supply, If you want growth, this is what you need to do to get it, right? That's what the economists teach. Need more liquid. What's going on outside? It's like one of those alerts, right? Let's take this to the balcony ever so briefly. I need some air too. It's April 19th and I need some air like you wouldn't believe. It's Sunday. I blazed yesterday and I blazed today. It's like I'm not supposed to be blazing. I'm acting as if it's the end times, and I shouldn't be acting that way. Anything to get around, to just postpone editing. Anything to just postpone the task. But, I'm playing a critical culture guy, culture theory guy from the Frankfurt School. That was him you just heard a second ago. And I'm like, I agree with these critical theorists these days, like from A to Z, more than I do with like economists. And I never would have thought that to be the case, 10 years ago. 10 years ago, I was kind of like, are these guys even like a brand that anyone should care about? Critical theory, neo-Marxian, hotbed of neo-Marxism. But it's like, yeah, I finally get it. And even though, I don't think he brings up haste at all here. It's Adorno. Yeah, Theodore Adorno, Resignation, 1969. He all but says it in the essay. It's a big if, economic knowledge. It's actually a big if. If you're willing to increase haste, like on everyone, in the name of growth, then economics is very useful and very valuable as knowledge, because it tells you how to do it in like these different ways that are often incompatible, but it tells you, how to do it better than like communism does. But then these, communists in practice, they insisted upon growth and they tried to merge communism with growth. And like monetary theories, theories when they had their own fiat currencies and stuff. So it wasn't pure by any means. But yeah, it's like, the communists themselves, even though they were these communists, they were so ravenous. And they needed their own extravagance. That's what you need as someone who engages in ideology. You need a kind of intellectual extravagance. And it afflicts the Marxists. They believe in stages of history. It's like the ultimate way to go wrong. They posit stages of history and they say this is the final one, and they list a bunch of like very specific things that like the society will be based on, and they picture these specific cooperative practices that like I picture like nothing like the man can ever achieve. Man is just what I said he is. He partners up with a woman to create more. And then it's like, these communists, it's like they posit all these things, and it's not just like these lofty proposals, but then it's like they say it's true that it'll happen. And I'm pretty sure Adorno was like a commie, but it's like on just the commentary, what's being done to us, how much manipulation, just how much manipulation there is. There are little prizes and they're little, they instill in the masses when the masses should congratulate others for achievement. When you have a society that's this tied to convention and this thirsty for growth and to beat the other nations, when you have that as the modus operandi, as how we were all raised, it's like, I'll say it, for every 99 times I expect to be congratulated for a thing that I'm proud of having done, for every 99 times I expect it, it doesn't happen. I get for the 100th time,
a congratulations for something that I don't care for, that technically, yes, I did. You know, because I got to earn a roof over my head. It's so lopsided. I'm almost never congratulated when I should be, and I'm congratulated when I don't care to be. Because it's just the Volk are that easily tricked by the institutional decorative style of kudos. There's no real, sensible sense of kudos in anyone or condemnation. Everyone does, praise and blame wrong. And, their esteem is worthless. Their esteem is worthless. How did Daria put it? I don't have low self-esteem. I have low esteem for everyone else. Yeah. It's like one of the few good lines from that show. Yeah, very few. Very few. They had to make Daria into this brainiac. They couldn't just make her, sharp. And, I'm going to be a bullshit detection artist, but then I'm going to struggle scholastically. It would have been so much of a better show if Daria had been like a female version of me. It's like, man, all these people know nothing about life. I'm the only one in this whole goddamn town who has a clue about life. But then she's also a brainiac who like aces everything, and I'm like, I can't relate to this stupid show.
Manifests itself.
Yeah, sorry. It's Adorno, man. I'm more into cultural criticism than I am into like reading the latest econ paper that like figures something out in econ data. Oh, let's read econ papers that figure out specific problems and then, are overruled by other econ papers inevitably in like just a matter of years. But yeah, let's be enthusiastic for economics. Yeah, what kind of curve is this, recession curve going to be? And what kind of recovery shape is it going to have? Yeah, let's be enthusiastic about what's true there. Let's be enthusiastic about what types of curves are true. Why? I think you people are just fooling yourselves. Just like all the Volk are fooling themselves when they like congratulate me. All wrong. And when they fail to do so, and then when they do so, they congratulate me. All wrong. I don't want a damn thing to do. I don't want my name. My name is no Avail. My name is not the stupid name my parents gave me that's a fine name, but doesn't exactly blend into English. So I'm no Avail, right? The Volk will never understand enough in life to congratulate me on being no avail. Instead, they'll know me as a colleague and as a acquaintance and as a friend of sorts. But then I'm like, no, I'm not your friend with a D. At best, I'll be your friend with the 4 letters, no D. At most, I'll be your friend. If I figure out that you're shrewd enough and just sensible enough and learned enough to not mean me harm by being a bonehead. I don't care if you have an excuse or not for the fact that you might be a bonehead. If you're a bonehead, just by that fact, you mean me harm. If you mean me harm, I mean you double harm.
That now, in all countries of the earth, are developing the characteristic traits of what they once opposed.
Yeah, I don't know if he's talking about haste here, but I'm talking about haste. We're going to be here as Canadians, but in many other countries, this is I don't care how many protests you have, how many tyrants you eject, as they just did with Orban, thankfully. Yeah, I care. Thankfully, they ejected Orban democratically. But I don't care how much of that you eject. You'll never eject the haste. We're on a runaway train, a runaway freight train. It's going to end bad, especially for thinkers. Because there's not enough of us, apparently. There's not enough thinkers.
Yet this does not invalidate.
Too many doers, too few thinkers. That's how you bottom line the problem of Earth. Too many doers, not enough thinkers. And even these thinkers who kind of want to do it ideally, like guilt trip themselves. Oh, I can't be useless. Yeah, the more useless you are, the more useless you are afforded to be. Let's say you're born to wealth. Yeah, the better you'll be at being a thinker. You'll lean back into the armchair instead of leaning into life and the practical ends of life. Those putrid practical ends of life that, okay, maybe you can muster some enthusiasm for if you're still in your 20s, maybe still in your early 30s. But man, like mid-30s onwards, if you're a thinking being and you can still muster enthusiasm for any practical kind of mandatory aspect of life, it's like you've been doing it and it still keeps happening. You know, including the vicarious crap. Why don't you check the news again? I'm sure it's breaking anew. I just can't believe that all of the internet that's switched on nonetheless musters enthusiasm to do it anew. Because they're doers far more than they're thinkers. So we're outnumbered. And like there could have been more thinkers, but they allowed themselves to be played by institutions who want them living in haste. Because institutions have to set the bar high. It's not fully blameworthy. Like some of this is understandable because like to some extent, it just means living in a civil society where there's like expectations that, you know, if you fall sick, like the ambulance will come. Okay, I'm not an absolutist. Yeah, if you fall sick, the ambulance should come. So I'm not this anti-practical absolutist. There's got to be a practical life. But can we speak frankly on it? You know? You just feel like a puppet when you engage in it. How do you not feel like puppets? Man, I feel like a puppet more or less any time aside from when I'm absorbing thinkers and getting to think and getting to rant out loud my thoughts. Other than that, at 40... you know, well, I've had it up to here with the practical ends of life. I'm not going to forswear it, practically or theoretically. There's got to be some, you know, practical in life. There's got to be some liquid too. But for Pete's sakes, there's too much haste, not enough contemplation, and just... I guess people just don't have the hardware for introspection at that scale. This is just a hardware problem, not necessarily a low IQ problem. They just don't have what it takes. They don't have the guts. They don't have the epistemic guts you and I have, if you're still listening to this. Yet more rants. And now, this is a bad spring so far. I'm all kinds of rejuvenated ideologically, but, you know, externally the world is just headed, you know, it's just, I half expect to wake up to radiation. You know, am I out of step with the facts for half expecting? Okay, maybe like less than half, but it wouldn't shock me if I woke up to radiation. It's like the one good thing is like, okay, well, you know, no more guilt tripping for not doing these videos speedily enough. No more guilt tripping. That's what I do also. I guilt trip for not editing more, but it's like, you know, when you expect to maybe wake up to radiation, like, should you really guilt trip yourself to that shit at all?
Validate the critique of anarchism. Its return is that of a ghost.
Yeah.
The impatience with theory that manifests itself in its return does not advance thought beyond itself.
Yeah, it's like, you know, double cooperative. And like if regular communism is just like, let's be cooperative, and somehow it's not going to be forced, everyone's going to play along, even these natural born psychopaths are going to play along. You know, then like anarchism is double that.
By forgetting thought.
Double delusional cooperative theory. Double.
The impatience falls back below it.
You gotta force some stuff, but when you force too many things, it's like that's another, you know, quicksand you step into.
This.
Man, look at it go.
A few kilometers from the village where I was born, there was a hamlet perched on a hill and inhabited solely by gypsies. In 1910, an amateur ethnologist visited the place, accompanied by a photographer. He managed to collect the inhabitants, who agreed to let their picture be taken without knowing what that meant. At the instant they were asked to hold still, an old woman shrieked, "Watch out, they're stealing our souls," whereupon they all flung themselves upon the two visitors, who had the greatest difficulty making their escape. These half-savage gypsies, what were they but India, their land of origin, which, under these circumstances, was speaking through them?
It's fluid tap. My name is Crud. I was from Homeland. 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 My name is Crud. In Homeland, life's harder. My name is Crud. In Homeland, my life is harder.
Drink the poison down.
My name is Crud.
Drink the poison down.
I'm here to tell you that you too are bougie. My name is Crud.
Cold and mushy now.
My name is Crud.
Cold and mushy now.
I'm here to tell you, no Avail, that you too are bougie. My name is Crud.
Arms are closing round.
My name is Crud.
Arms are closing round.
I was from Homeland, where life is harder.
Tap the fluid now.
My name is Crud. I was from Homeland. My name is Crud. I was from Homeland, where life is harder. No Avail, you two are bougie as fuck. You utterly repulse me. Your grievances. My name is Crud.
Disrupt the sound.
I was from Homeland,
Disrupt the sound.
where life is harder. All you all repulse me.
Accelerating now.
My name is Crud.
Accelerating now.
I find it easy to stay off of social media. I have real problems.
Always pick up your power.
My name is Crud.
Always pick up your power.
Mob's got a hold of my family. My name is Crud. I was from Homeland.
Leave your mother now.
My name is Crud.
Leave your mother now.
Mob's got a hold of my family. My name is Crud. I find it easy to stay off of social media. My name is Crud. I was from Homeland. My name is Crud. Mob's got a hold of my family. My name is Derek. I like to inflict psychic wounds on people. I lust for vengeance. My name is Derek. I like to inflict psychic wounds on people. I lust for vengeance. I've got it good. My name is Derek. I like to inflict psychic wounds on people. I lust for vengeance. My name is Crud. I was from Homeland. And you all disgust me. And I find it easy to stay off of social media. Oh, hey, Crud. Meet Derek. Derek, tell yourself. My name is Derek. I like to inflict psychic wounds on people. I lust for vengeance. Thank you, Derek, for telling on yourself. Crud, what do you think of Derek? I think those Allahu Akbars are right. I want to blow him up myself. Yeah. You want to join Fight Club with Derek? Yeah. So that's my version of fluid tap. Yeah. I just did another one. Yeah. My name is Crud. I was from Homeland, where life is much harder. You all disgust me. My name is Derek. I read Quran, so I don't care if I discuss you. I'm just doing me. Yeah, it's Derek with G. But Derek is also a stand-in for, the Muslim crazies. Yeah, the meaning shift song per song.
For the moment, it is the adversaries of the West who, converted into theoreticians of the duty it evades, are building their empires on its timidity, its lassitude. What curse has fallen upon it, that, at the term of its trajectory, it produces only these businessmen, these shopkeepers, these racketeers with their blank stares and atrophied smiles to be met with everywhere, in Italy as in France, in England as in Germany? Is it with such vermin as this that a civilization so delicate and so complex must come to an end? Perhaps we had to endure this out of objection in order to be able to conceive of another kind of man.
And it's gonna be in the best interest of America. Of America. Of America. Of America. Of America. Of America.
Slow down.
And it's gonna be in the best interest of America.
Scattering seeds of ancient lies. Oh man, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah. Jesuits.
I know peace only when my ambitions sleep. Once they waken, anxiety repossesses me. Life is a state of ambition. The mole digging his tunnels is ambitious. Ambition is in effect everywhere, and we see its traces on the faces of the dead themselves.
Rather than Insert various descriptions that would get me cancelled for racism. We look for our current problems in the past and cannot find them, then romanticize the problems the past really had. Many people complained that by talking about crime yesterday, I was distracting from the rising disorder. Probably people will complain today that by talking about littering and graffiti and so on, I'm distracting from some other kind of disorder, which is definitely increasing. Maybe open-air drug markets, or tent cities, or the boomboxes. That's fine. But as I said when arguing with you in the comments, I think the following two statements are importantly different. One, littering, graffiti, and most violent and property crimes are down.
They're testing these guys. By Bruin, they're testing these guys, and I wanted to do a Scott Alexander commentary. The post is crime as proxy for disorder, but he doesn't just tell him to not be wusses. Like, stop being wussies. Like, yeah, crime's bad. Disorder is just, some people refuse to de-individuate in public too. Yeah, and it may cause disorder. Yeah, I don't care if there's nudists. I don't care if there's, maybe if they're sweaty, I care somewhat. But I don't care if there's, even cannibals who eat dead people. I don't. Yeah, so it's disorder, but I don't care. But like Scott's like more judgmental. He jokingly says at some point, people who play boomboxes loud ought to get the death penalty. And I'm like, yeah, but what song are they playing on the boombox, Scott? That's the right answer. Should people who play the boombox loud, which is like a relatively new, few decade old problem of disorder that didn't exist decades ago, whereas like decades ago, the post points out, yeah, there was like a lot of horse manure and just dead horse flesh on the streets of like a lot of cities, and it attracted billions of flies. And then the horses were sent to pasture, and then that was no longer a problem. You just had like standard like environmental hazard type things because of the spread of the plastics. So you just had littering instead of that. But I'll take that over the horse manure and dead horses piled on top of streets. Just corpses of dead horses and manure piled on top of each other. Yeah. So it's like, yeah, all these, wussy people who are complaining about modern disorder, it's like they just got to grow up and understand that, yeah, some people are going to cope differently than you. Yeah, you lot cope in silence. Whereas like the people who are accused of having like these disorders, it's like they just cope out loud. That's all they do.
Boombox playing are up. Shoplifting is stable.
Yeah, but like Scott doesn't get it. It's like, what song do you play on the boombox? Yeah. I don't care how loud. I don't care if I'm trying to sleep. I don't care if I'm trying to sleep. If you play the freaking song that I like, I'm not going to be that angry.
But that could hide local variation.
Yeah, so yeah, local variation disturbs national-wide narratives on crime.
Some areas gentrify and others worsen. There are shifts in who experiences these problems, and the well-off, highly literate white people who set the national conversation are getting more exposed to them. 2. Crime and disorder are rampant. Nobody feels safe anymore. Cities are falling apart, and the police don't care. The West has fallen.
Oh, sweet summer
My goal
child.
isn't to deny anyone's lived experience.
Sweet summer child. Yeah, I want to deny people's spoiled lived experience when they finally wake up to, aren't they the ones who are supposed to be like, yeah, I was mugged. That's why I'm conservative. I was mugged, unlike those libs. Yeah. When I peruse Twitter and then, fearful of subways, yeah, they don't sound like someone who's conservative because they've been mugged. They sound like they haven't been like anything like halfway mugged ever. They sound very pampered to me. Not that I've been mugged.
Not the importance of solving these problems. I support the death penalty.
Yeah, mugging is crime, not just disorder. If you mug me, that's not disorder, that's like a crime.
Box carriers.
So I'm consistent. It's like I don't care about disorder broadly. I just don't want to be mugged.
It's to push back against the sort of revolt of the public.
You mean me harm, I mean you double harm.
Esque sense that everything is worse than it's ever been before.
Yeah, the what sense? The spoiled. Say it, Scott. The spoiled sense.
The importance of solving these problems. I support the death penalty for boombox carriers.
Yeah, jokingly.
It's to push back against the sort of revolt of the public-esque sense that everything is worse than it's ever been before, and society is collapsing, and maybe we should take the authoritarian bargain.
No, we shouldn't, but we should take the anti-occupational bargain, come what may.
Stop it.
Yeah, I'm ready to take the anti-occupational bargain if enough of others are going to come along and be lemmings with me.
On an emotional level, I feel this too. I can't go downtown without feeling it.
Yeah.
One of the many reasons I rarely go to San Francisco. But I don't like feeling omnipresent.
Scott, too, was bougie.
Despair at the impending collapse of everything.
No, Scott doesn't like feeling bad.
Having
That's why Scott brought another person into the world. Oh, it's because Scott doesn't like feeling bad and figures, you know, his kid is also going to be a dupe who likewise, you know, succumbs to optimism bias to not feel bad.
Specific thoughts like house prices are up since the pandemic, so it's no surprise that there are more.
I got a bone or two to pick with Scott.
People and more of the usual bad things.
Scott doesn't care.
Downstream of homeless people.
Scott's got his dick right, or Scott doesn't care.
Than vague ones like RIP civilization 4000 BC to 2026 AD.
Yeah, Scott wants a lot more civilization forever. And I wonder what Scott would say if I told him it's like, you know, if forever passes and then it's like it's going to be extinction, you know, you'd feel every bit as unnerved at the frightful extinction as you do in the present moment.
Isn't just more grounded in the evidence. It's also more compatible with living in.
I thought done because they've been in my unit already. It was really loud.
He was above all others and had had nothing to do with it. He had simply forgotten to desire.
But first, some preliminary thoughts on some recent events.
You know, when she first got in and was named speaker,
Nancy.
and I'm very impressed by her. I think she's a very impressive person. I like her a lot.
Nancy,
But I was surprised
yeah.
that
Likeable Nancy
she didn't do
in 2008.
more in
Wait,
terms
what?
of Bush. I was surprised that she didn't do more in terms of Bush and going after Bush. It was almost, it just seemed like she was going to really look to impeach Bush and get him out of office, which personally I think would have been a wonderful thing.
Impeaching him?
Absolutely, for the war. For the war.
Because of the conduct of the
Well, he
war.
lied. He got us into the war with lies. And, I mean, look at the trouble Bill Clinton got into with something that was totally unimportant. And they tried to impeach him, which was
Allegedly.
nonsense. And yet,
Allegedly unimportant. And adult consensual, allegedly. We're learning more. You know, just what you two did to each other. We're learning more.
got us into this horrible war with lies.
I guess you're both bi, if the rumor is true. If you did each other, yeah, you're both bi on top of everything else.
By lying, by saying they had weapons of
Yeah,
mass
but that's
destruction
kind
to
of
impeach
actual-
Bush and get him out of office,
actual worse
which personally I
things.
think would have been a wonderful thing.
Impeaching him?
Absolutely, for the war. For the war.
Because of the conduct of the
Well, he
war.
lied. He got us into the war with lies. And, I mean...
Yeah, and a lot of the people who voted for you and who are like, yeah, Bush lied, still like voted for Bush the second time in 2004, despite the fact that they cheered you on when you claimed he lied, just like you lie about like everything.
The trouble Bill Clinton got into with something that was totally unimportant.
Yeah, Lewinsky, unimportant, but rumors about him doing little girls and you on the Lolita Island, a little more important.
And they tried to impeach him, which was nonsense.
Yeah.
And yet Bush got us into this horrible war with lies, by lying, by saying they had weapons of mass destruction, by saying all sorts of things that turned out not to be true.
Yeah, 18 years is not a long
Nancy
time.
Pelosi, the speaker.
In politics,
Well,
18,
you know, when she first...
18 years is not that long a time in civilization.
He envies, scorns, or detests all other mortals, the healthy most of all. Inveterate pain, far from purifying, brings out whatever is bad in the individual, physically and morally alike. A rule of conduct, mistrust the sickly, fear anyone who has been bedridden. The invalid's secret desire is that everyone should be sick, and the dying man longs to see everyone on his deathbed.
Excuse me, why are you so rude? Just wait, I'm calling on people. There you go.
Putin sees that, and he just gives them what they want.
Is it all about that kind of petty vanity?
Of course. I mean, that's at the root of things. I mean, I'm sorry. I mean, it's just, from years of observation of this. Putin knows exactly how to do it.
When he said of the UK, we will not be there when you need us. That's a real threat. This Nigel Farage line that you should not take him literally, you should take him seriously, I always disagree with.
I think
you should take him literally.
Yes, of course you should. That's been clear to everybody with a brain, which means that Nigel Farage possibly hasn't realised it yet.
I say when you deal with Democrat, Republican, you have to attach a year because it's evolved and changed many times.
Well, that's all. You're just being manipulated. And you're being manipulated by these two teams. And you have to pick a team. You have to decide which team you want.
I hate that.
They really don't. Just vote sensibly. Or don't vote too erratically, right? Does that mean you're on a team?
So stupid.
Right, Joe?
I'm politically homeless. These two teams, and you have to pick a team.
No.
You have to decide which team you want.
I hate that.
No, there's no extracurricular activities that come with voting. Legally, I think even culturally, you vote and you say you voted and you do the sticker and you literally don't have to do anything else. Just don't vote erratically. And vote sensibly, which is not only what you didn't do, but then you gave a ringing endorsement to the guy that has, long before his political life, everything he did, long slug trail of corruption and then some. And you couldn't see it. You, the conglomerate, man, you're a conglomerate with your podcast. It airs everywhere. So, you should have been, extra cautious not to tell people to vote erratically. But now you're, going to say that, oh, no, everyone wants me to be on a team. No. No, just vote sensibly. It's not that hard.
Stupid. I'm politically homeless. I've always been asked to pick a team.
No.
You have to decide which team you want.
I hate that.
It's so stupid. I'm politically homeless. I've always been. I've been politically homeless for a long fucking time. Neither one of them make any sense to me. We need a logical centrist government.
What are the axioms for your logical starting points? You want to get into that?
They're just says, look, there's a lot of things that we should do.
It's self-declared logic.
To make this country a better
place. That's what happens when you have a conglomerate readership, listenership, is you just declare logic as a self-declaration and you don't really examine the axioms of your logic, but others reach around and see that it's a loop.
We can do these things.
Yeah, logic is a loop. That's the frightening thing, but Joe's nowhere near that stage of the discourse. Logic is a loop.
To left or right.
It's a vicious loop.
Right, and anything that...
But, don't think too much of it, because it's a sign of an unhealthy organism. Is if you get caught up on the fact that logic is a loop, you just kind of run with logic. Yeah, so he's healthy, so he doesn't care much that logic is a loop.
The left says that's logical. The people on the right, they immediately dismiss it because it's coming from the left. And that happens the same where the left does it to people on the right. It's dumb.
Yeah, but, the whole precursor of dismissing outsiders by way of religious affiliation is kind of all that anyone knew for decades. Long before the internet, it's we're Christian here, and all those other monotheistic or post-monotheistic faiths, we're going to other them, and it's going to be decent, right? Because this is America, it's where Christians are. And it was totally non-controversial, and it was a team thing. Yeah? Anyone who challenges you on your faith is a rotten person. We don't discuss faith and controversial things at the dinner table because then it may be challenged and it may make us feel uncomfortable. So anyone who challenges that, it's a big old meanie. We should boot out of America. Well, that's what you get now. It's moved on from religion and now it's encompassed all of politics. Because there weren't enough people like me who would say, no, I don't care if you boot me out. I'm going to keep challenging this crap.
It's a team thing. It's the Dolphins versus the Raiders.
No, Joe. It's the Muslims versus the Christians. And I saw it fucking coming way before any of you.
Just you pick a fucking team.
So platform me, Joe, and I'll explain it, and then I'll convert you, and then, will be off to the victory races.
Even you lay that team
What a horrible
sucks.
game, by the way.
Is that? Oh, I dare not even guess who that is.
You pick a team, and
It looks a little like Dennis Rodman.
Team rules,
right? It's not me, right? It's
There's a
Dennis.
lot of people.
Yeah, it's like it's Dennis the Menace. Yeah.
You pick a team, and your team
Orlando Jones or something.
rules, and the other team sucks. And there's a lot of people out there that are not that. They're not open-minded. And
Yeah, but why didn't it bug any of you when no one was open-minded on the faith thing? Like, everyone was Christian, and we all knew there were these other options, and yet just about everyone you knew was going to be Christian. You know, I'm not even saying they had to deny all faith, right? They just had to not be so predictably Christian over and over and over and over. Everyone you ran into, whether in the old country or in America, right? They're all just Christian. And I'm like, I'm not even expecting you to be atheist anymore. I'm just expecting you to be something else. And then they're always Christian. And you're not supposed to say anything about it. So, of course, the whole team thing and the whole, adapt yourself so as to ruffle the fewest feathers possible. That's what it is, Joe. People are cowards. People just opt for what they know subconsciously will ruffle the fewest feathers possible when it comes to, like, the people who are, like, in the locality. They're cowards. And they don't have convictions. They're like the skeptic who wants to, like, the moment the skeptic hears, like, you have a conviction, he wants to, like, remind you, oh, it's just an opinion. But, like, we can defeat the skeptic too. Just you wait. We will defeat the barbarians and the skeptics.
legit ideology that they can adhere to. So now I don't have to think for myself. I have a.
It's nothing new, though, right? It's nothing new. And you have a lot of people who listen to you, so you don't spend enough time thinking about the fact that it's not a new problem at all. Because if you spend as much time thinking about the fact that it's not a new problem at all, you'd alienate a lot of that listenership. And it wouldn't even hurt you, because you've made more money than you could spend in, like, 1,000,000 lifetimes. So, like, you even more than me should be talking the way I talk. The reason everyone's like a political absolutist, it's because they were absolutists before. They knew there were these political wars. They were absolutists in terms of going into business for themselves and their safety by not, like, challenging the people who are near them, starting with mommy and daddy.
Determined pattern of opinions that I could just adopt, and I'll just accept those, and that's how I think, and that's what I'm going to argue with.
Yeah, like with faith.
Well, I say when you deal with Democrat, Republican, you have to attach.
Yeah, no, it's Adam Serwer. Yeah, I get other clips from Adam. I'm still looking for the Hexeth clip. Oh, here we go. There's Hexeth. It was Adam who spread it.
Why are you so rude? Just wait. I'm calling on people.
Thank you, Secretary. Hold on.
Excuse me. Why are you so rude?
He wasn't.
Thank you, Secretary. Sorry. Thank you.
Excuse me.
Yeah, because you didn't answer the question satisfactorily.
So rude. Just wait. I'm calling on.
Thank you.
Excuse me. Why are you so rude? Just wait. I'm calling on people.
Thank you, Secretary.
But now big screen.
Yesterday,
Now
the
big
president
screen.
social,
Big
he threatened
screen.
to
So
wipe
I can
out,
do it. I
his
can cycle it.
civilization.
It's one to cycle.
Thank you, Secretary. Thank you.
Excuse me. Why are you so rude? Just wait. I'm calling on people.
Thank you, sir.
You are a fart, and you believe to smell of violets. I cure your neurotic misery, and you ask whether I am in Who is Who?
Yeah. There's always more. It's another gimme more thing. It's not about the mental decline anymore. There's other declines. His walkies are gonna go. His walkie, Which one is it? Left one or right one? Or is the brace in both? Yeah. It's like when a man can't walk, then a man can't even be his own chauffeur, right? Yeah, you can't chauffeur yourself if you can't walk. But I don't think he ever chauffeured himself. Yeah, I think he was like me. He was like the anti-chauffeur. Yeah, every now and then I find something that I have in common with him. Viral photo sparks new leg brace speculation. coordination concerns. Yeah, he never had. Yeah, he never had coordination in the way of prudential coordination. He just got into all sorts of trouble. Why doesn't this? This is just a distracting photo. I'm sorry. It's just distracting. Yeah. Did he make it distracting on purpose? It's still the 19th here, and I've got to discard the updates. You know, it's amazing. I have been discarding these updates on the Iran stuff for the last few days, and it's just, you pop back in and, you know, it's like you hadn't been discarding it. It's just, yeah, man. How many more threats are you going to issue until you figure out that, you know, threats don't work? Not against them. Yeah, threats from you just don't work. You know, Iranians aren't pussies like the Americans. Yeah, he finally found that, yeah, not everyone's a pussy. It's just his fellow Americans that are pussies. My name is Trump. I'm as healthy as a horse. My name is Trump. I'm so healthy I could cry. Yeah, my name is Trump. Did I click the same one? It's NPR. My name is Trump. I'm so healthy I could eat it. Arby's. Yeah, he probably does. Oh man, they're still gonna destroy Lebanon. It's like 100,000 displaced. It's just bad. All because the Blessed One chose to bankroll it evermore. Yeah, no, it's not him. His hands too clean. Black Bill comes in sinister rouge. Religion's just that bad, man. It's like its own black pill. It's like religion's gonna be the death of us. Yeah, incompatible faiths. Yeah, man. Okay, let's put it to normal now, because this is... Although this works better slowed down too, I think. Yeah, but let's put it... Yeah, there we go. Yeah, so just think about it, you know. You have more allies, all things considered, in the current landscape than you have fiends. Yeah, I feel myself to have nothing but fiends because of this kind of stuff, whether they're Islamists or these New Age turds and these, whatever, apocalyptic Christians, evangelicals. Yeah, it's just nothing but fiends. Yeah, think about it. Politically, you know, there's these like two types of e-liberals. You know, like the ones who are just feisty because of the econ stuff. They're so feisty, they're like made into e-liberals because they're so economically feisty. Like they don't want anyone to get rich. They don't want you rich whether you deserve to be or not. So like they're ergo illiberal, and then there's the faith heads and the social cons who are illiberal for all sorts of reasons. And it's like, yeah, take it away, Greg. Scattering seeds of ancient lies. Yeah. Yeah, so we need more liberals who avoid the pratfalls of being so economically feisty and grubby. You want like everything the rich have. Like, okay, you should be entitled to some non-trivial amount of what the rich have, but like, you know, these e-liberals, because like they're duped by Marx, like they want everything the rich have. It's like you're not that good, you proletariat. You're not that good. Many of you also fall for this crap. You're not that good. So it's like, yeah, two strands of illiberal can like fuse into one. You know, if you're a faith head and you're Marxist, like you're all kinds of dogmatic and illiberal. But I'm like saying, you know, avoid both the pratfalls of illiberalism, avoid your familial needs and your needs for Goddard. You know, like the other church should avoid being so fucking economically feisty that they want a dictatorship of themselves, a dictatorship of the proletarian underclass. It's like you shouldn't want it. You should like let the people who know what they're doing tell you what to do. People who have shown themselves to be wiser. Let's go back to, point 8. You know, so, you know, be liberal and vote for your betters and not your, you know, glad handers and baby kissers who flatter you. Coming back for more. Even the score. Oh man, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah. Jesuits holding secret conference underneath the white snow, and only God will ever know. Sisters coming back for more. Oh, I forgot. No, it's. I don't wanna. Later. And we're out. It feels very fortunate that it's still the morning of April 7th, 2026. Yeah, it's that day. It's past that day now when you're hearing this, but it's still that day, and it's still the morning of that day, and it's 10:32 on April 7th, 2026. It feels like it's going to be the day of infamy, you know? Every century supposedly has one, or it's, you know, disputed, but, you know, it feels like if this century has an infamy day, that's like the day of suspense. We see it coming this time. And it's still like the morning, and it feels fortunate, but it's like it's dragged out. This has been the longest 10.5 and 2-minute hours, not of my life, but, you know, it's just dragged out. You know, there's a lot of suspense in the air. Trump just might not tackle for once because he's been egged on. So yes, it's all Blue America's fault again. Checkmate. No, it's all Red America's fault. It's the one thing Blue Sky gets. It's all Red America's fault. You know, so I blew off some steam for the next 27 minutes walking back home because it's Tuesday. So I blew off some steam, and, you know, I broadly make it about these two other things. But then the big, you know, culminating factor is that it's, you know, it's to be referenced. It's like the day of infamy. And I don't know what odds to assign to catastrophe for today. I don't know what odds to assign. So it's kind of a cop-out because I'm not here to assign odds. Maybe I'm overblowing something the press has done to me. But like, I only follow the best of the press, so I know it's not that. You know, I think it might be big and catastrophic. I just don't want to assign a precise thing to it. And, you know, there's all manner of risk that complicates a lot of what I say, things I couch in knowledge. There's a degree of risk to it, but nonetheless, it was a 27-plus minute exercise in freewheeling frank speech. Yeah, it's the best kind. It's a freewheeling, scathing. You know, I go after, let's call them interest groups, because they kind of wrought this with their lack of give and their pretensions. You know, faith.
I kind of hate having to do this audio, but I have to, because I'm genuinely curious to know, and I don't know, and I'm not going to find out because I have too much contempt for the field to like read the field to find out the answer to the question I'm about to pose. So if any of you know, might as well tell me. You know, it's about whether or not there's a consensus within Christianity on what I find to be a very important question, or whether there is like significant disagreement in like theology that's like the Christian theology, Christian tilted. So all the whatever accredited theologians, do they like mostly agree, or do they mostly, you know, butt heads? You know, it's about Jesus Christ the man as compared to Jesus Christ the postman. You know, the spirit that imbues you if you believe in him. That's all you got to do. Just believe and he will imbue you, postman. Right? But I have so much contempt for theology that like I'm not gonna read it. I don't care. I'm not gonna read it. I know what it is. It's PR for faith. You know, it's, how did Shaw put it? You know, they frame general conceptions and build card houses out of them. The most flagrant example is everything theology wants you to adapt yourself to. They frame general conceptions and build card houses out of them. You know, like the evaluative skeptic says, the rest of us do the moment we're like in any way normative. You know, we're framing a general conception. We're not taking these evolutionary debunking arguments seriously enough. If we took those seriously enough, we would be these evaluative skeptics alongside with them. I have contempt for that view too, but that view is at least a little more challenging. But like theology is just so obviously PR for the faith heads, you know, and it's done a damn good job in causing even many like lifelong atheists to not be as brutal as they ought to be on faith. Like if you have faith in the religious sense of faith, look what it's doing to the world. Look what it's doing. It's April 7th, 2026. I don't know when this will go up, but look what faith's doing to the world. But like, it has such good PR in every corner of the globe. I'm going to slow down, but I'm not going to disrupt myself here. Yeah. Bypassers. No need to stop. Just slow down, right? Yeah, bypassers. You know, it's April 7th. It's Tuesday. That's why I'm doing this. But it's April 7th, 2026. And it's like the Tuesday of all Tuesdays. You know, Trump's going to do something tonight. Trump's going to do something tonight. And my weekend just started, man. It's like, how am I going to have a weekend if, like, for once Trump doesn't tackle? Right? But see how much of this is undergirded by different faiths, different senses of entitlement, group level entitlement based on the faiths and their incompatibility. You know, it conquers each land because most people are that gullible and that afraid to challenge it to the extent that they should. Theology should not be taken seriously. I have a question that I know only like theologians can answer and like observers of theology. And I'm going to out myself as not knowing, but I'm still going to pose the question despite my contempt for theology and now me outing myself as, you know, yeah, there are some things theologians know that I don't, that I'm curious to know. But like, you know, I'd rather not ask them and I'd rather not read them. So I'm just going to do this kind of, you know, quasi-angsty audio while negging theology and explaining exactly what theology is. Faith needed PR from day one, and there was no dissuading them because God had to be. God had to be because look at the childhood mortality rates across human history. You know, you lose multiple kids, you think that's it, and now you got what? Years left before you go to and leave behind the other kids that didn't die yet? God had to be. Faith had to be. You know, I don't want it prohibited, but like I'm going to call it. I'm going to call you on it if you think theology is in any way makes it more like substantive in terms of how defensible it is, how justified and warranted it is to indulge this shit. It's an indulgence. You know, when childhood mortality was at its peak, I guess that's when the indulgence might be overlooked, and we don't have to be scathing to those people from the past. But like these modern, especially Americans, like, why do you need to indulge it to such an extent? You know, and like you, Iranian regime, why do you need to indulge your faith and your fear of death and your, you know, coping that you're going to see all the dead ones and the dead ones are going to fuck these 72 hot bitches who haven't been fucked yet? Why do you have to indulge this crap? There ain't no 72 hot bitches. And I hope the Seth MacFarlane bit is true. I hope they go up there and they find 72 dorks, male dorks who are like Neil Gorman from Family Guy, like level dorks, horny dorks who are gay and horny for them. And then they yell, Allah or Muhammad. Yeah, that's what I think of you, you Iranian regime. You deserve 72 male dork virgins like the Family Guy bit. I don't care how many serious-seeming theological defenses of Islam I'm overlooking in saying that. I'm not afraid of being accused by polite society of being a misogynist when I say feminism is just PR for women. Women as a gender, as a sex, however you want to frame them. Women deserve their own PR. Lord knows men have their old boys club style PRs. But like, I don't care how much polite society is going to call me a misogynist for saying it. There's nothing lofty about the ideals of feminism. Feminism was there because women, much like men, they want their PR, and they started being shrewd about it and organizing and having all these silent, you know, nods to each other when it comes to those particular issues that hurt their movement and hurt their ideology, that they will pretend don't exist because it's not good PR. You know, the more you identify as a feminist, the more strongly you identify as a feminist, you know, the more you crave PR as a woman, and the more you envy the fact that your, you know, foremothers, you know, didn't have it on par with your forefathers. Yeah, it's true. Men had better PR in the, you know, depending on how you want to see it, in the distant, or maybe not so distant past. Men had one hell of a PR firm, but mostly the rich ones, and in America, mostly the white ones and the WASPs. Yeah, the WASPs had the best PR for a long time in America. And then the Jews had, the diaspora, once Israelis maybe, they have a wondrous PR to this day. That's part of the reason why it's very consequential that today is April 7th, 2026. It's consequential because Christians are these, you know, apocalyptic dupes, these evangelicals that are in cahoots with the, you know, the Jews. You know, Israel is a nation state premised, heavily interlinked with the Old Testament. Like its law, like is the law in the olden sense of the law, the biblical sense of the law. So much of Israeli law, you know, is that retrograde because it's like, it's the Jewish religion. See? It's not even like the New Testament. You know, and like Tucker Carlson is now like giving pushback, you know, theological pushback that, you know, New Testament's better. You know, it's just different types of PR factions at odds. Like you have in feminism, right? They all want better PR for women, but, you know, the rad femmes are at odds with the lib femmes traditionally. And then I'm told by the Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy that like the continental schools of feminism are at odds with the analytic schools of feminism. And I'm like, there's analytic schools of feminism? There's like analytic PR firms? Oh man, those academics and scholars are wildcats. Those like there's analytic feminism, and I can't wait to see what it's all about. But much like theology, it's like, I gotta postpone it in the case of the analytic feminism because I know I don't have the stomach for the pretension of it. It's a pretension. Why can't they just admit it the way most men I think nowadays could? Like, what was the patriarchy? It was just a giant PR firm for men, often for wealthy men at the highest degrees. In America, the whites and the wasps, and then the Jew whites. Are Jews white then? Are Jews white then? Answer me this. Are Jews white then? You know, if not, man, a lot of them, like Ben Shapiro, if it turns out that, like, Ben Shapiro can't be white, and if it turns out that, like, you know, Trump's not gonna take a back seat when the Democratic outcome tells him to, you know, Ben Shapiro might find himself in a wad of trouble. And those eyebrows are gonna be the least of his problems. Like, you know, is Ben Shapiro white? I say yes. So are Jews white then? You know, the answer is sometimes. And, you know, sometimes absolutely. They're as white as the wasps. To me, Ben Shapiro is as white as a wasp. You know. Yeah. So sometimes Jews are white, so ergo Jews can be white. Bless them. But Jews may find that, like, there's some white supremacists in America who are, like, so dogmatic about race, like, they'll say categorically Jews aren't white. And then Ben and the rest of you, you're gonna regret what you paved the way to. Sorry I gotta be brutal, but today is April 7th, 2026. I think it's like the 5th time I'm saying it. And we're expecting a whole lot of something to go down today. This may go on to be the most consequential day of the century. And what time is it? It's 8:40 a.m. now. I'm leaving. I've been leaving. Work. And I'm thinking, if you disagree, you suck. If you think there's something lofty and intellectually interesting, incredible about the contents of theology, you know, it's inwardly interesting, sure. But it frames general conceptions and builds card houses out of them. Sure, a card house is fun to indulge. You know, like I indulge Simpsons trivia, all matter of Simpsons and other shows trivia, card houses. But, like, do I know more than you because I know more about my favorite shows than you do? That I was a fanatic of when I was a kid. I know so much trivia, but does that mean I know more than you, like, about stuff that's like life stuff? No. I just know more about Simpsons trivia and South Park trivia and so on and so forth, wrestling trivia. That doesn't mean I know more than you substantively. And we might say the same is true of theology, feminism. You know, these are just PR engines. And they dupe people because people are gullible. Just like they're gullible to fall for this LGBTQ. You know, we're going to sneak the T in there like it's similar to the rest of them. You know, I did a whole thing on that. But man, for every second you spend fretting, oh, am I like the homophobe now? Like the homophobe was viewed. Am I like the homophobe in 2026 if I have misgivings about transgenderism? For every minute you dwell and worry about that and how it's going to impact your social standing in blue America, you socially conscious turds, yeah, you're not spending enough time thinking, like, can we ever really know what the rates are and how likely the typical trans person is to detransition after transitioning or to experience serious regret or serious bouts of something really bad because they transitioned? You know, and how likely are they to know, you know, what's in their long-term interest? Just the typical transgender person. There might be data, but it's all politicized data because I see the emotion and the dogmatic levels of investment and the PR wars called culture wars on the issue. You know, there's no reasons to think we have answers to the question like how likely is the next transgender who transitions going to either want to detransition or experience serious, you know, discomfort even for having transitioned, but a different type of discomfort than the one that they felt they had to flee from by transitioning. I'd love to know answers like this, but instead of even being contemplated, the difficulty of knowing what your odds are of being better off after transitioning, better off completely when everything is counted up. Like, if you think that's just predictable because you're going to point me to a study that you prefer, you've been framed. You're in a house of cards after having framed the general conception. It's like Shop said. This PR dupes you. Man. Yeah, Radfem versus LibFems and onward, that's all like different PR factions within the Grand Coalition who were kind of edging for supremacy. You know, Radfem's been losing bad, which is good. Yeah, you know. Okay, some of these gains by way of feminist movements were these legal gains. I can grant that. There were these legal gains that theoretically liberalism could have afforded them, but didn't. And so it did take feminism to actually get, you know, a feminist movement to actually get the women the right to vote. I don't mean to be a complete, you know, huffer and puffer on this and dispenser of snark. I'll just throw that in. Sure. Yeah, women got the right to vote, not because of liberalism, but because of feminism. But theoretically, you know, liberalism should have been enough because it takes into account all individuals, and women are individuals. So technically, we didn't need feminism, but it had to happen. But technically speaking, you know, it did need to exist to get women these legal rights that they should have been entitled to all along. But as it stands, you know, it's just a giant PR engine. And women can't see it because that's just how, you know, oblivious women are when it comes to pursuing reasons, like thoroughgoingly. Women pursue reasons to the point of the slogan and to the point of the dopamine hit, qua ideological intake. You know, they get the ideological intake so that they can get the dopamine hit, not so that they can get to the bottom of things. Because the bottom of things may not be as flattering for them. And I'm gonna get on that. There's that quote, you know, guys are petrified of being made fun of by women, whereas chicks are petrified of being killed by men. And it's like, if you still circulate that quote, it's not 2005, it's not even 2015. It's motherfucking 2026. If you've been urging men for decades to spill the beans on stuff, spill the beans on everything, and they've been doing it now for ages, and you still can circulate that disingenuous quote, you know, male grievance against females is essentially trifling, whereas female grievance against men, it's like a matter of life and death, man. Because look, here's a quote. Yeah, it's not like false allegations are feared by men. No, it's just being made fun of. We're going to keep circulating the quote like we were born yesterday. No, I'm sorry, it's not 2005 anymore. Even I was stupid enough once upon a time to look at that quote and go, oh, those goofball men, they're such clowns on gender. You know, that was like 2005, at the latest 2010. You know, and then I learned more about life and about cunning and how maybe it's not even cunning. Maybe it's just plain old kind of gender piety. Feminism has turned out to be a kind of gender piety where you can be so oblivious, and despite being rigorous on all other themes, like mostly non-gender themes, women can be rigorous. But on this, so many of them, just your jaw drops how many of them can't think critically and instead cast aspersions on male grievance by suggesting that it just comes down to not wanting to be made fun of. Look how trifling male grievance is. There's all manner of false allegations taking place and conjecture that can kind of destroy you, that men have gone into. They've been fired. They've been turned into persona non grata. Like, all of that fell on deaf ears. Why? It's a PR stunt. Certainly in 2026. Theology is a PR stunt, and feminism, every school of feminism partakes in the PR stunt that seeks to make woman with a Y, because the word man is so horrible, it shouldn't be in there, right? You can't have man in woman, so we'll spell it with a Y. It's all designed to give them a boost by way of ever better PR and downgrade male PR in the process. It is a tug of war. When it comes to just broad strokes PR, you know, in this bifurcated way, yeah, it's a tug of war. It's meant to empower woman who's too proud to have the word man in the word woman. So in comes the Y. You know, PR has gone a long way in succeeding. You know, I think more men are duped by that than women are duped by, like, male PR stunts. Like patriarchal stunts, like these stupid MAGA women that are now finding out just how truly disrespected, and just how much contempt their male counterparts in MAGA, how much contempt they hold them in. Yeah, it took a lot of years, to ring their bell, but these lib and rat femme women, nothing I can say will ever ring their bell. No, they'd tar and feather me if they could, just to shut me up. They would. Like, if I went viral and I swayed a lot of guys and even a lot of chicks with this rant, and they could just shut me up, they would. They're fanatics. They're fanatically invested in women having better PR in society than man. And that's why there's this Maud and Bailey shit. As Scott Alexander wrote about brilliantly, this bait and switch, feminism is just a, prescriptive claim that we ought to be equal as genders and as biological sexes. We ought to be equal. But no, it's a descriptive claim. Maybe it's attached to the prescriptive claim, but it's at bottom. The far more stronger claim is the claim that's descriptive and that says men are less oppressed by society than women. In these broad stroke group terms, we have the data, and the data shows that women are more oppressed than men by society. Society oppresses men too, but women are, broad stroke terms, more oppressed as a group. And I think more guys buy into that than women buy into the inverse, which is that, misandry is worse than misogyny. I think it's hard to tell, but I do believe, misandry is worse than misogyny. I'm not going to get into why. That's probably another long audio. I've kind of bounced between accusing different wide swaths of society, from the faith heads to the feminists, that they're just duped by, PR stunts. Their ideology is like 90% PR stunt, maybe 10% trying to introspect and acquire reasons. It's just so transparent, man. I can't believe people don't see it. But it's a problem. Just as it's a problem that, men are held in contempt to a greater degree by women than women are held by men. We ought to view them with more contempt than they view us. I'm spending a lot of time on Blue Sky, man. I'm not screen capping. I gotta go back and screen cap some of the shit they say. They're getting ever more awful. They think it's overwhelmingly likely that you're closer to Epstein than the typical innocent, decent man. That's how they talk on Blue Sky. So they make a prescriptive claim. We ought just be equal. That's all feminism is. And then they downplay initially, certainly, when they're doing PR in mainstream society, they downplay the descriptive claim, which is women are more oppressed by society than men, and men are awful. Yeah. You're closer to Epstein, the bottom of the barrel, than you are to Jesus Christ. I guess I didn't ask the question. Is there a substantive difference? This is the question to theologians. Thank you for listening to me to insult you for half of this. Thank you, theologians and observers of theology, for letting me insult you for 20 minutes. So now the question I hope you answer: is there a substantive difference in Jesus Christ's character when he is Jesus Christ the man, as opposed to when he is the postman that is risen? Is there one such difference, or is that characterological through line consistent? Is this even something that is, considered? To me, if Christianity is going to make sense, Christ ought to become even better characterologically once he is risen, and not just in terms of these magic tricks. I don't care about the magic tricks. If he is perfect all the way up until he dies, then once he is risen, all he gets is the magic tricks. No, wait. He did magic tricks before. I think he was just a normal carpenter. He didn't have magic tricks before they crucified him. It was when 3 days passed after they crucified him that he acquired the magic tricks once he rose. I'm pretty sure that's how it went. Yeah. So I think it's very important. He has to also improve morally. But man, Christianity and Judaism and this Islam shit is still huge. It's one of the reasons I want to be huge, because I think I can just knock this down better than anyone. I'll just say what just needs to be said, quite in ways no one can. You're afraid of death. You're all matter of afraid of mortality and nothingness. Oh, I said the N-word, nothingness. Oh, I said the N-word. You're all kinds of afraid of it. You know, back in the day, they lost their children in droves when the children were young and cute and just getting to know. You know, the family was just getting to bond and tighten their bonds, and then cholera and all manner of horrible shit just took you. You know, nature just took you. So God had to be, because, you know, it has to be for something. There must be some kind of dessert. And then it's like these atheists and disbelievers challenged it all. And it's like, okay, there's got to be theology. We got to get PR for this. We got to do didactic embellishment. You know, just like the womb needs its own didactic embellishment to camouflage the fact that, like, women would be rational and sensible if they could just extract the wombs out of them. It's not the fact that you're like a woman. It's the fact that you have a womb that has a quest. You know, if you just extracted the womb and could be sensible enough to see there's nothing wrong with spelling it woman, even though it has man inside. Once you extract your womb and I guess your uterus, you know, maybe then feminism can be more analytical than it's been and, you know, willing to concede in those areas where it ought to concede, like recognizing that misandry is worse and that, you know, it's easily explained by evil psych matters like male disposability and male identity disposability. Men are willing to change all manner of things about themselves, yet with chicks in a way chicks aren't, but they would be. Oh, they would be. Hell hath no fury like a woman scorned. Yeah, I didn't say hell hath no fury or wrath like a man scorned. No. You know, women ain't gracious in defeat. That's another PR stunt, is to believe that men are less gracious in defeat than women. No, the quote says, hell hath no fury or wrath like a woman scorned. You know, it's like even Shakespeare read it and thought, yeah, even Shakespeare said feminism sucks. Because Shakespeare read that and went, I'm not going to change that to say man. I'm going to say, yeah. What do you have to say to that, feminists? What do you have to say to that? I suppose the best thing about that rant is I don't see anyone consciously aware of the fact that it's easier to humble yourself to those who, you know, you view as kind of con artists or just intellectual frauds who self-deceive but are masters at the craft, like theologians. Like, you're comfortable enough to humble yourself to them on a particular issue. You're like openly saying, you know, I don't know and you know, and I'm curious about what you know and I don't know it, so tell me because you know more on that thing. But like, I'm conscious about it, but I'm still like grudgingly admitting it. And I just think that was good. And it signals like confidence that like, yeah, I can be humble on a particular thing and still call bullshit on you generally because you're full of shit generally. But you know your trivia like I know my Simpsons trivia. But it's like a whole confidence thing that, you know, like decades ago, I wouldn't have been able to bring myself to do that. I would have kind of forced myself to acquire the knowledge ASAP so as to not humble myself. But now I'm like, God, you know, at 40, you're so sure they're full of shit and you're right that like these humblings, like, you know, they don't deflate you at all. And why should they? You know, it's their trivia game, the theologians. Yeah. And it applies to a lot of things. You know, I say it halfway applies to econ. Yeah, you know, the economist knows more econ trivia than you. But do they know more? You know, because they know more economically and the, you know, let's say multifarious disputations of economists who are trained economists within economics. You know, but just these, you know, voluminous disputations from within, but, you know, they know more economically and mathematically, but, you know, the disputations from within last and apply to like a wide array of economic interpretation and data and just formula. You know, the American School of Economics, the Neoclassical School of Economics, Marxian economics, Austrian, Horse shit. You know, what else is there? You know, once upon a time I could spew off, like, you know, at least a dozen different schools of economics. You know, oh, Hayek versus Keynes. Someone was right and someone was wrong. No, you're a fool. Oh, Hayek versus Keynes. Someone must have been right and the other must have been wrong. No, I think they were reaching for different things and hoping to justify different things. And it was psychological before it was, you know, econ mathematical. But, you know, sure, the economist knows more econ trivia, like the theologian knows, you know, the answer to the question. You know, was there a substantive difference in Jesus Christ from the time he was a man and to the time that he rose and became post-man and imbued you if you just simply believed in him somehow, piously, I guess? Yeah, you had to believe in him piously, and then he imbues you. But, like, I'll humble myself to the theologian and I'll say, you know, I guess I was grudging a bit, but, like, decades ago, I wouldn't have had the confidence because I'd like, oh, what if that means the theologian is right? But I was, youth. Youth and its lack of supreme confidence. But, like, these days, yeah, tell me. Is that even a matter of contemplation within theology? It should be. You know, was Christ morally perfect as man? You know, if Christ was already morally perfect as man, you know, it just kind of, I don't know. Like, what's even the point of coming back and doing magic tricks if you're not going to, like, enlarge yourself? You know, Christ should have been flawed. Christ should have been ill-tempered, or at least more so, if he was a little. But, you know, I don't think he was. So it's like, Christ is just, you know, I wanted to see an improvement. But yeah, like, the econ folk they don't know more than non-econ folk. They're just good at spinning webs. And how did Turan put it? You know, the case against the uncivilized has been stated so masterfully, eloquently, that it cannot be disputed.
He was going to end civilization as we know it in Iran, meaning he was going to wipe out, the only possible construction of it is he's going to wipe out millions of people by God knows what means. And now today he wants to go into business with them. So
Trump makes a fool out of me on infamy.
This is just, you know, ridiculousness. The extremity of
I don't regret the rant.
Threat.
Trump makes a fool out of me on infamy. Even me.
The only reason the whole world wasn't in more of an uproar than it was is nobody really believes anything that Trump says, including that kind of thing.
I wasn't in an uproar, but
I mean, you attached
I made some noises.
Non-zero probability.
Yeah, I attached a non-zero probability, so I brought it up. I brought it up.
More of an uproar than it was is nobody.
There's something about that date too. You know, April 7th. There's something about that date.
Really believes anything that Trump says, including that kind of thing. I mean, you attached a
2 weeks from like 420. Yeah, 2 weeks from 420. 420.
Non-zero probability to it. Yeah. Yes. Which made it terrifying, even on its own. But the back of your mind, you think even those of us...
I was just angry. I wasn't terrified.
Most skeptical.
I guess we're far away enough from Iran. Yeah, that's why.
Can't possibly be...
That's why I'm only still ever angry and not terrified.
To do that.
It just feels far away enough. But
so instead what happened...
Maybe Australia is a safer bet to avoid. All aboard the Trump plane. Safety guaranteed. So ashamed and embarrassed to have voted 3 times for this person. So I don't know this Scott McConnell character, but I know this much. I know he was extremely gullible in 2016 and then extremely gullible in 2020. And then like unfathomably gullible in 2024. I guess even all of 2025 wasn't enough when the cover-up of the Epstein shit was in full force. Bunch of malnutrition, sick kids overseas, their programs gutted, and just a countless number of things in 2025. But no, it took the Iran war and I guess another plane thing. He put his brand on the plane. Of course he did. puts his brand on everything. What are you ashamed and embarrassed about? What are you surprised about? That's the evergreen question, you know, when they're ashamed and embarrassed. It's like, yeah, but they must have been surprised as well. Right? This late in the game, you're surprised in 2026. And you don't even look that stupid. Usually, you know, that you can just tell by physiognomy. Like, here's a physiognomy that's not even a physiognomy of a dunce, and yet he's been had. But it's not even about him. It's about George Conway. So George Conway, we're going to see an accelerating tide of these admissions and conversions as the coming weeks and months pass. And the job of us, this is my favorite part about George Conway, is he tells me what my job is. And the job of those of us who have opposed Trump for years, see, so he's talking about me, right? The job of those of us who have done what no Avail has done for years is to resist saying, I told you so, or you knew better, but rather, I think he meant to say, I knew better, right? To resist saying, I told you so, or you knew better, but rather to say, thank you for seeing the light. Yeah, I'm not saying I told you so or any of that shit. I'm just doing the kind of videos I do, George. That just doesn't change. You just don't understand anything. The lot of you, what did I title it? Yeah, it smells desperate. Yeah, it smells so desperate. Thank you for seeing the light. I still respect you. Now come on over. See, it's like you got the same problem Tim has, George Conway. You smell desperate, but at least unlike Tim, you don't like contradict yourself within the paragraph. Maybe that's because you typed it out, whereas Tim had to speak his advice out. But yeah, you all just look desperate. You know, it reminds me of Bill Maher. Bill Maher had Sam Harris on, and Harris challenged his trip to the White House, and Maher defended it. Maher defended it because he's like, he's the president. It's half the country. If we don't speak to the president, how do we speak to half the country? I guess it's somewhat less than half now. It's like 31% of the country. Like, Bill insists on speaking to 31% of the country by going to wine and dine with President Trump. And Harris like challenged him on it, that it was all like useless and shit. And Maher just kept holding his own. It's like, we have to talk to them. We have to talk to them. How do we not talk to so many people in the country? How do we not try to do the olive branch thing? I'm like, Bill and George and Tim, you know, for once in your lives, just construe of yourself as a man. Yeah, when you construe of yourself as a man first and foremost, instead of as this whatever society mediator, that's what they all think they are. You know, guardians of democracy. Okay, but really what you all think you are is you all think you're this society mediator. And that's why you forget yourselves. And you're willing to prostitute yourselves. This is what this is. Don't say what's on your mind, but say what's not on your mind. Thank you for seeing the light. Nah. And it's unfathomable. When you're in this game for so long, especially Bill, you know, oh, what, Bill? Is HBO going to stop letting you do a political show if you just insist on taking it beyond politics? Is HBO not going to let you do that? No! You have all kinds of control to do what you want, to take it post-politically, to be ever more contemptuous, and you don't do it. None of you do it, because none of you at the end are comfortable just being men. Just saying what you want to say, and to hell with where the cookie crumbles. No, you're too responsible. You're too responsible to act like men. So instead you everything has to be mediated. And I'm here to mock you for it as best as I can.
Well, I'll just say, it's very late for people. You have to suddenly become Mr. Congeniality and say there's room in my tent for all kinds of ideas that are not mine, but also to try to attract people to your tent when you are double digits points behind your rival in the appreciation of voters and double digit points behind in the polls because you are dragging down your party.
So it's just more opportunism. See, even in Canada, there's opportunism. That's why Paul Yver is going on I'm a pluralist tour. Paul Yver is going on I'm a pluralist tour. but I wasn't last year, and I hope folks forget it.
Kind of come across as a doable proposition, no matter how nice you want to be about sounding.
Yeah, nice and pluralistic.
That person you saw last year, I don't think that really works with voters.
Okay, there's lots more to talk about on this.
This ain't no U.S. voters remember stuff from like last year and maybe even 2 years back.
Especially about the NDP, and we'll do that right after this.
Across Canada, a new economy is taking shape.
What?
Built by Canadians everywhere. People like you.
Why is...
Building with Canadian-made materials.
Like traditional commercials.
Delivering cleaner electricity. Powering breakthroughs in AI and clean tech.
Yeah, powering breakthroughs in AI slop.
Adding new customers for our resources. Like critical minerals and cleaner steel.
Oh, man.
Selling Canadian know-how around the world. Canada's new economy.
Yeah.
Innovative.
It's better. Canada's going to be better. Watch.
People like you. Building with Canadian-made materials.
But why is it a traditional commercial block when you're on YouTube? I don't get it.
Delivering cleaner electricity.
Yeah.
Powering breakthroughs in AI and clean tech.
There's no downsides.
Adding new customers for our resources.
No downsides in Canada
like
at all.
Minerals and cleaner steel. Selling Canadian know-how around the world.
Yeah.
Canada's new economy.
I think everything's going to be all right.
Innovative. Competitive. Cleaner. Stronger.
Canada strong. Canada strong. Yeah.
And welcome back. You're listening to Good Talk for this Friday. Sean Bear, Bruce Anderson, Peter Mansbridge, all here for you. You're listening on Sirius XM, channel 167, Canada Talks, or on your favorite.
I wish it's true. I'm just, it's more important not to be naive about stuff than it is to feel good about lies.
For a few days, and it is a joy to be here, James.
Oh, God, it's always lovely to see you. It really is. What's happened since I came on air this morning?
We can keep going and get that 50,000 up to 55 and 60. There's no end. Or we can take a stop and make a little journey into the Middle East and eliminate a big problem. And Pete, I think you were the first one to speak up. You said, let's do it. And you can't let them have a nuclear weapon.
I have terrible news. The treasury is just almost empty. Nonsense. Where could all the money have gone? That's one of the caviars, a rotten egg. Senator Stark, one of the U.S. Senate's most distinguished moral degenerates. I thought you were at the performance I arranged at my voice choir.
They sing, too? Mr. President, there's something terribly wrong about using these people's money for your own personal pleasure. Well, you should be using ours. The U.S. taxpayer needs to see a few patently propped up puppet governments that do whatever we say under the threat of violence in order to reaffirm the supremacy of American values and ethics.
A noble standard to uphold, Senator.
I would say that within 2 weeks, maybe 3.
The U.S. will be gone or done with the war.
I think we're 2 or 3 weeks. We'll leave.
Deja vu all over again.
I will make that decision, I would say, over the next 2 weeks. Someday you'll be reading about it, maybe in 100 years from now, maybe in 2 weeks. Whether it's next week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks, doesn't make any difference. And we're asking every American to make major changes to reduce social interactions over the next 2 weeks. Within 2 weeks, you'll see numbers. The peak, the highest point of death rates, remember this, is likely to hit in 2 weeks. If you didn't have our military equipment, this war would have been over in 2 weeks. I can't tell you that, but I'll let you know in about 2 weeks.
So you can take it to the bank. He said yesterday about the Strait of Hormuz.
It's not like you're taking out an army or you're taking out a country or they can drop it. Or you can take a machine gun from the shore, shoot a few bullets at a ship. Or maybe an over-the-shoulder missile, small missiles. That's not for us. That'll be for France. That'll be for whoever's using the strait. You know, they said this about a lot of things. No other president can do some of this shit I'm doing. Smart people don't like me.
When our kid is born, his first word is Hezbollah. What do you think he will
That's one to crawl
say when he grows
and cycle.
up?
Yeah, let's do it.
A devout supporter. When our kid is born, His first word is Hezbollah. What do you think he will say when he grows up?
Why don't you check the news again? Aren't you an informed citizen? Why don't you check the news again? Aren't you supposed to be an informed citizen who is responsible? Why don't you check the news again? I'm sure it's breaking. Aren't you supposed to be responsible? Why don't you check the news again? I'm sure it's breaking. Aren't you supposed to be responsible? I knew. Why don't you check the news again? I'm sure it's breaking. I knew. Why don't you check the news again? Aren't you supposed to be responsible? I'm sure it's breaking. I knew. Why don't you check the news again? I'm sure it's breaking. I knew. Aren't you supposed to be responsible? And why don't you check the news again? I'm sure it's breaking. Aren't you supposed to be responsible? On the gaslight, joining of hands, chanting a name over and over. The table tilts, the circle is broken, doubting no more. They pay what they owe her. Why don't you check the news again? I'm sure it's breaking. Aren't you supposed to be all caught up? Why don't you check the news again? I'm sure it's breaking. Aren't you supposed to be responsible? This amendment, a luminous hand, holding the air, passing the current. A voice is channeled, a rope is uncoiled. Flicker the light, and someone is here. We go, following sorrow to feel your blood spilling out of the reeds there. Give me a sign I can breathe there. Blood flowing out of the stream there. Give me a sorrow to feel. Blood spilling out of the reeds there. Give me a sign I can breathe there. Blood flowing out of the stream. Why don't you check the news again? I'm sure it's breaking. Well, it's because I'm trying not to get high again. It's because I'm trying not to get high again today. I'm trying to finish. Why don't you check the news again? I'm sure it's breaking. Well, it's because I'm trying not to get high again today. I'm trying to finish. Finish my video. I'm trying not to get high again. Why don't you check the news again? I'm sure that it's breaking. Aren't you supposed to be responsible? Yeah, but I'm trying not to get high again today. I'm trying to finish. Why don't you check the news again? Why don't you check it anew? Aren't you supposed to be responsible anew? Why don't you check the news again? Aren't you responsible anew? And aren't you supposed to finish anew? Time is a flat circle. Act like it. Aren't you supposed to check the news again anew? Oh, but time is a flat circle. Act like it. Aren't you supposed to finish anew? The time is a flat circle. Act like it. Aren't you supposed to be responsible anew? The time is a flat circle, so act like it. Aren't you supposed to check the news anew? Aren't you responsible? Are you? But at the same time, time is a flat circle. Act like it. Time is a flat circle. Don't you mind? Because there's much to be responsible over. Just to subsist. Aren't you supposed to check the news again? I'm sure it's breaking. Aren't you responsible? Aren't you supposed to check the news again? I'm sure it's breaking. Aren't you responsible? Well, yeah, but see, I'm trying not to get high again today, so I can finish. Aren't you supposed to check the news again? Yeah, but see, I'm trying not to get high again, so I can finish my video.
Of so much haste, of so much impatience, our machines are the consequence and not the cause. It is not they who are driving civilized man to his doom. Rather, he has invented them because he was already on his way there. He sought means, auxiliaries, to attain it faster and more effectively. Not content to run, he preferred to ride to perdition. In this sense, and in this sense alone, we may say that his machines allow him to save time.
No kangs, no ice, no human sacrifice. Boy, are you ever in the wrong country. Yeah, whoever's holding the sign. Yeah, you're like on the wrong planet. If you think this no sacrifice of humans thing is ever going to work out. You know, the sacrifices don't have to be quite as bad as the big one of Jesus Christ, the man. You know, that was like the ultimate sacrifice drawn out. But, you know, there's others who have been sacrificed too, and it has to be that way. You know, just sacrificed to social engineering so we can have highly trained professionals, because there's got to be, you know, billions of people who get sick and shit and need their highly trained professionals for various needs. But anyway, it's a chant. Here comes a chant.
This is what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like. This is what
Why am I?
democracy looks like.
And why am I trying to help preserve it again? Point taken. I get it, but like, why am I disturbed if it goes away? I mean, is there worse things? I guess they're chanting to let me know that, like, it can be even worse than this. It can be worse. My chants are better. My chants and lyrics are better.
This
Yeah.
is what democracy looks like.
Oh man, they're fine. It's just her, right?
This is what democracy looks like.
Oh, it's so bad. And no one tells her either that she's ruining it. Yeah, you ain't no AJ. Oh man, AJ's done like a full 180. Maybe I'll get to that too, but it'll just be like an hour segment if I tried to play anything from him. But yeah, she's rocking the bullhorn, but she's making it worse. Why don't you check the news again? I'm sure it's breaking anew. Why don't you check the news again? I'm sure it's breaking anew. It's always better when I do it.
More do you need to know about these people? I go out and face this scum. They literally crawl out from under rocks. They have green looking skin. Hillary's in the creepy, weird, sick stuff, man. She sleeps in the same room with that creepy, weird woman.
And I heard, as it were, the noise of thunder. One of the four beasts saying, "Come and see." whoever is unjust, let him be unjust still.
It's fun to be in nature when it's raining, regardless of whether you have an umbrella. That's what I've deduced in my 4 decades on this planet. It's fun to be in nature when it's raining, whether or not you have an umbrella. But it's not fun to have to record. So just a minute on that. I guess those lyrics are my way of signaling that I'm not fully detached, right? Even though I know it's stupid and it's anew, and I should have said anew still, to add yet more absurdity to it. It's all anew still, but you still must go on and be responsible, anew and still and daily. Or, you know, you're going to be tugged a bit and nudged a bit by stupid psychological crap like guilt. That's not strictly speaking real, so that's what stops the serenity. You know, I'm not fully detached. That's my way of signaling it, you know. Especially when the track, those were different tracks. They seem like the same track, but that's such an awesome record by Porcupine Tree. You know, they don't like it as much as they should. So, you know, when Circle of Manias kicks in at the end there, when it gets all crunchy, I really display that inner monologue where it's like, you know, nudges and stupid psychobabble nudges of guilt for not being responsible anew. You know, because, yeah, it's not exactly, you know, it disrupts the splendid state. You know, you're in the splendid state, but then you're like, oh, there's all this crap I have to keep doing, like checking the news. And it's like, but no, you don't. But yes, you do. And it's a circle of endless inner monologue debates that, you know, you're gonna die having if you're thoughtful. But then many other people are far less thoughtful, and they don't really, you know, it's not like they're too wise to check the news. They haven't gotten to the point where, you know, they should have been curious about the news, to the point where you become jaded as to whether the news are going to improve anything, you knowing them or not. So they're like 2 rungs beneath you. There's the news rung, and then there's the post-news rung. But it's hard to stay in the post-news rung permanently for me, because I'm not fully detached and I'm not fully aloof, because I'm benevolent, third person benevolent, and that's my track signaling how third person other regarding I am, because I still check the news, because there's a bunch of people who are, you know, dying, and I want to see what the most powerful people in the world will do as to whether they will increase or decrease the amount of innocent people. And, you know, even broadly, these military people who are not purely innocent because they signed up for it. But still, they have families. So, you know, you want to see the number of people dying in wars decrease instead of increase. Which is why you keep checking the news anew. And there's no end in sight. You keep checking the news anew still. You know, it's disrupting your splendid state, your serenity, your auraxia. That's what the news does. And that's what, you know, especially these commenters do, you know, who are less wise than the anchors and the pundits on average. That's the other thing that disrupts your auraxia. You know, it's kind of, oh, if only the populists would attain to power. And I'm like, many of them have. Orban is one such populist. Trump's brand very much is one such brand. Like, the density in the average comment, you know, is worse than the density in the punditry and the intelligentsia, as per me. And disrupts my, you know, serenity. I signal about it ad-lib lyric style. Why don't you check the news again? Aren't you responsible anew? And don't you have to finish anew? That's the other thing. It's like, I think I have all these projects that I ought to hasten. I ought to hasten these projects. And I'm like, no, I don't. Because working on them also disrupts my serenity. You know, because I find I'm just way more creative than anything else I see. And it's like, oh, yes. A world full of liars and dullards. But, you know, it's fun to get rained on in nature, back in my old neck of the woods. Thereabouts. Yeah. Yeah, so just to point out, you know, had I not been hounded by copyright hawks, copywrong hawks, so much in my recent past, this would have been the track for this, the musical score, or at least one of the musical scores in this video. It's, yeah. But I'm so exhausted just with the anticipation. You know, you put something on the second channel for a test run, and then you manipulate it to see if you can get past the copyright, and it's still, the copyright still catches it. So it's like, I'm not even gonna bother. But yeah, man, when I come around, oh, it would have been so good. I have my old lyrics for it too. It would have been so good, but Green Day's mainstream enough, so yeah. Maybe one day when we defeat the copyright hawks as a civilization, then, you know, I'll like redo a video like this, or it's something similar to the title, and yeah, then I'll do When I Come Around. When I coom around. Yeah, when I coom around. That wasn't the old lyrics in this case, but maybe next time. But well, who am I kidding? We're never going to defeat the copyright hawks. They're going to be with us forever, man. If anything, they're going to gain more ground, and, you know, even punks who, like, you know, should be like, yeah, parting ways with their record labels if their record labels are too grubby. You know, 30-plus-year-old records, and you got to wonder about whether you'll be copyright stricken. It's like, it's been 3 decades, guys. Part ways with your grubby labels and make your entire catalog public domain, because it's so easy with Green Day. You know, Green Day songs, because they're basic enough, so you're not even distorting the meanings that much. Green Day's not awful lyrically. They're just nowhere near as good as certain other bands lyrically. But yeah, man, it's when I come around. But who are we kidding? The Volk aren't coming. The Volk aren't coming around. Let's see. There's some clips. Yeah, there was at least like one clip I wanted to find. It's Melania's talking.
We're suspecting she would. Trump term 1, she was much more in mom mode, and now she's really stepped out and into it.
Oh man, it's like, no, we don't need to hear it. We don't need to hear any of it. Let's see. It's very important data.
Maybe half or one out of labor. Then the supply side of the economy is crying out for.
Oh man, that's just like so interesting and like so different. It's like every day, it's like there's something worth remarking on, because each new day is so different from the previous day. Yeah, you best keep your eyes peeled for it. You know what these suits are saying, Mr. Aaron Rupar. Man, this guy posts so much clips, and I guess kudos to him, but he subjects himself to more like forces of Philistinism. You're like, yeah, right there. Aaron Rupar. On the one hand, you're like, yeah, I got to hand it to you. You subject yourself to the forces of Philistinism and kind of empty suit, masquerading the true agenda so that the Philistines can't figure it out. You know, because they always speak like proper and shit and are never like tired when they come on air. They're always like, oh, I'm so enthusiastic for you, my viewers. And the viewers are like, okay, I trust you. You're enthusiastic every time you speak to me. And, you know, you don't ruffle too many of my feathers, Benny Johnson. But see, I bet even Benny Johnson would have to, like, you know, start ruffling feathers now. Like Alex Jones. I saw a clip where it's like Alex Jones is like, yeah, how do we impeach his ass? How do we do it? How do we impeach his ass? It's like 11 and a half years, Alex. 11 and a half years of being a stooge. You don't suddenly get to just pretend you weren't a stooge. But yeah, like even Alex Jones wants to like impeach Trump. It's amazing. But like Aaron Rupar is like, more than anyone else, always pulls up these clips, which presumably means he absorbs the clips.
National importance, but to micromanage the president with 535 CEOs.
Oh, you guys are just so much, your guys' commentary is just so much more interesting than what I have to say. You know, even people who hate you will like pay attention to you like for years and post your clips
And then many other little pawns will like all try to swarm the evil people. But like, you know, you keep swarming the evil people and like the evil people don't read what you say. So like, what's the point? What's the point? You know, the barbarians don't care if like there's, you know, somewhat less barbarous forces against them. Yeah, but like Aaron Rupar will keep doing this like for the rest of his life. He'll like, yeah, I'm here to just listen to a bunch of people who I must know on some level are too barbaric to be listened to, but then it's like I'm all in on the real politics shit. So it's like, yeah, I want a decent society, so I'll keep consulting what they have to say and spreading so that I can have my little ants, you know, swarm the evil people. But it's like it doesn't do anything. So what's even the point? What's even the point?
Where are we right now with that?
Well, that's not going to happen. The minority leader is completely wrong. The minority leader is pro-Ayatollah. Think about it.
Yeah, it's like total Iraq playbook all over again. And they're confident enough that they can get away with it because the Volk don't have anything like a memory. Beyond the last 5 minutes.
Be the votes. I don't see any cracks in our conference getting on board with Jeffries.
Yeah, it's just so obvious, man. Just the same old playbook.
It's like up the measure next week when.
But of course, they feel comfortable enough to run the playbook because, like, the people who were pissed off with the Iraq War in 2004 still voted for the guy who did the Iraq War, like in their camp. So it's like, you know, this is all it's just all too ignoble, man. How can you withstand so much ignoble in your life? Ignobility. It's almost as if the ignobility rubs off on all of you through your politicking and your eyes and ears always out for what the latest thing is. And yeah.
Yes, thank you for having me on the show.
No, I want to hear Melania.
They want to go and
I want to hear
finally as in the White House as well.
They don't let her speak. Yeah, I heard like a few seconds of it, and she's just so hard to take. It's like no wonder Donald is so misogynistic. Yeah, I think he's been more misogynistic in these last like 20 years than like the 20 years before. Maybe not, but, you know, it's like, yeah, you know, you have to live with her or whatever, cohabitate with her. It's like, yeah, how do you not turn more, you know, rotten? It's like, you gotta listen to that. He's had to listen to that more than he had to. You know, I bet he put the ring on it and then only later realized, oh, now I'm going to have to listen to that more than I would have had to had I not put a ring on it. See, so I have my own reasons as to why, like, Aaron Rupar would hate me. And Aaron Rupar's, you know, swarmy creatures. Yeah. Yes, because I'm mean to Melania. But there's only certain types of ways you ought to be mean to Melania. And if you're mean to her in one too many other ways, his little army of swarmy creatures will swarm you as well. But yeah, you know, Aaron Rupar, you should just take a break from all this shit. Because you like hear ignobility far more than you hear nobility because of like what your job is or what your whatever makeshift job is, you know. Oh, journalist, I'm Aaron Rupar. I'm a digital journalist. I too am responsible because I share clips of all sorts of different ignoble voices. But where's the Hexeth clip? There's like a Hexeth clip. I'm sure he spread it. There's like this Hexeth clip where like Hexeth is so bitchy. Oh man, Hexeth, he's like getting more bitchy and more bratty. And I guess, you know, it's been like 20 minutes since I've seen that clip. So like this guy's gonna like, you know, it's not even anywhere close because like 20 minutes is like an eternity when it comes to Aaron Rupar's posting habits. It's like, you know, he takes, I don't know, man, like he posts more often than the amount of breaths I take, like per minute. It's this kind of, and you got to do that shit. Yeah, see, so he's got to do like fake Zen. That's what you do when you're like all about like, yeah, I got to keep posting or the other guys are going to get more clicks than me because I got to keep posting and I'm responsible. And so then you got to do like fake Zen through, you know, imagery and then, yeah, fake Zen and fake sounds. Yeah, fake jealous. It's fake jealous and fake kudos. Oh, maybe Aaron was there. Yeah, maybe Aaron didn't just like, yeah, maybe Aaron actually flew out to some part of the world where he can acquire Zen. Whereas I don't have to like risk my life by flying in these insane times. I just do this and then I'm in Zen. But my Zen doesn't last as long as I'd like. I'll admit that much. Yeah, I can do it. I can just like this and I'm in Zen, but you know, then I remember, you know, there's reason to go non-Zen.
We are here to do battle with life and death, not to dodge them, as we are urged to do by civilization. An enterprise of dissimulation, glossing over the insoluble.
And they run around screaming, we love Satan, we wanna eat babies.
She keeps going after President Trump, the greatest president in American history.
President, your first 100 days has far exceeded that of
He's not buying it. Him in particular is not buying it.
any other presidency in this country.
That's what we should be focused on. All the great work that this president
I really
has
thought
done.
once upon a time you had to have so much cognitive horsepower to do just the standard attorney thing, much less district attorney, much less, you know, next level legal masterminds. I thought you had to have like next level cognitive horsepower, you know, even just to pass that bar that Kim pretends to have passed, you know, ass woman. But then I learned it's like, no, just a standard bobblehead doll. A standard bobblehead doll can go far.
And will continue to do.
Yeah.
Ever. Never seen anything like it. Thank you.
Yeah, I've never seen so much feces on a cartoon face of a person that's a real person until 2025 rolled around and Matt and Trey made it so that, yes, I've never seen quite that much feces over and over and over on a person's nose in particular. And thank you. Thank you for that.
Have you apologized to President Trump?
Hold your breath. How about it? You hold your breath, and I'm sure it'll come.
Every American tonight should be thanking Donald Trump for making America safer.
Have you apologized to President Trump, all of you who participated in those
Sometimes the bobblehead doll like malfunctions a little.
impeachment hearings
Listen,
against
it's
Donald Trump?
gonna happen.
There is no evidence that Donald Trump has committed a crime. Everyone knows that. You all should be apologizing.
Malfunction in 3.
You, Donald
2.
Trump, have taken the handcuffs off of DEA agents.
He is the most transparent president in the nation.
Yeah, he is on the fly. When he's on the fly, he's very transparent. I do like him for that reason. But behind closed doors, he endeavors to conceal a lot of stuff. But yeah, off the cuff, yeah, kudos. He's more relaxed than like even Obama.
History.
Yeah, Obama was like fake relaxed.
Since you have been in office, President Trump, your DOJ agency
I think psychopathy kind of helps you relax when you know you shouldn't be relaxing.
have seized more than 22 million fentanyl pills.
Yeah,
You sit here and you
a lot of people who can now die of obesity instead of those pills. Yeah, or whatever. Take your pick plague that they choose to get into when they can't cope with their fentanyl. They'll find something else to cope with because their lives suck. Yes, America, land of the free, where the government saves you from substances because your life sucks. And that's why you took substances to begin with, because you had to work hard, especially like as a trucker.
And I am not going to have it. I'm not going to put up with it.
Since you've been your last 100 days, which
It's
saved,
cracking.
are you ready for this? Media, 258
Bondi's making it crack.
million lives.
They said it couldn't be done in 4 years, yet President Trump has done it in...
You know what it is? They say it's a cult, but I don't think so. It's just a groundswell of love, right? She loved him before he won his second election in 2024. And many of the other ones who are like near her, right? Like JD, like, you know, a lot of people loved him before the 2020 election, but it seems like they really did. Their love for him grew after he won, and won decisively, you know, because he's a man and he ran against a non-man. You don't send a non-man to do a man's job, as I explained once before. So he won, and then it's like they love him even more because he won the popular vote, right? Well, JD once upon a time kind of hated him, but like all these others, they loved him. But, you know, they really fell ever more in love with him because he won by such a decisive margin, or, you know, by U.S. Republican victory standards, he won by a decisive margin. And so it's just a groundswell of love. You don't need cult, right? It's just like they know all the people in their lives like have love for the one guy, and so the rest writes itself. It's just, yeah, you can't expect someone to, like, you know, not be in with their fam. It's like their fam.
Dave, are you ready for this? Media?
Yeah.
258 million lives. They said it couldn't be done in...
But by the time it's all over, more lives will be lost, it seems. What's today? April 12th. You know, whatever. Insert remark about how I'm behind on everything. But yeah, it doesn't... You don't need to be a cult member, right? Because think of like the average patriot. And then imagine like they had to go and live in another country. Would they be like, oh, I believe these specific things about patriotism for my country. And, you know, I'm going to be as open about it in this new country that I have to live now. No, they wouldn't do that. You know, like if the typical American, you know, captured by this MAGA shit, if they had to like live abroad, you know, they wouldn't be spouting any of that shit because they know, right? Subconsciously, they would know then, oh yeah, it's not going to be as easy there. So it's just, they all just want a socially easy life. That's why they're patriots and, you know, sycophants. Because they know, like, a lot of people love the king. And so it's like, how do I not love the king if a lot of the people I need also love the king? So it doesn't take a cult. It just takes, you know, sociability, the need to belong. I'll sleep well at night knowing these performances are on the public record for an eternity to all to see continuously. Over and over. I agree, history will not forget this. Yeah, that's just kind of what you say when you have to cope with the fact that, you know, everything we care about and try to do, it's all going to be for naught. But sure, yes, there will be a history. And its last name is, you know, dialectic. Yes, there'll be a first name history, last name dialectic that will not forget any of this and all your efforts and toil. Yes, Mr. History Dialectic will be there to record it all, so that we stay motivated to partake in history. But the truth is, history doesn't have a brain.
Trump is entirely full of shit. It is as if you took all the shit in the world, squeezed it into a bag, and made it president.
You are a fart.
CPAC nearly empty this year and reduced to the top 1%, or bottom 1%, of the MAGA morons.
How many of you would like to see impeachment hearings? No, that was the wrong answer. Let me try it again. How many of you would like to see impeachment hearings?
Of the MAGA morons.
How many of you would like to see impeachment hearings? No, that was the wrong answer. Let me try it again. How many of you would like to see impeachment hearings?
Yeah, just one.
No.
Yeah, just one more time.
Would like to see impeachment hearings.
It's not the crowd, it's that laugh.
No.
We would almost expect it from the crowd.
That's the wrong answer. Let me try it again. How many of you would like to see impeachment?
There are right and wrong answers in free speech land, such as CPAC. Right and wrong answers from up on high.
Oh.
No.
Thank you, Matt Schlapp. The real highlight of CPAC, though, if you missed it, was...
I guess you can have right and wrong answers and believe in free speech, but not the way these morons do.
Mike Lindell.
Oh, man.
Mike Lindell being rung up by a female process server.
There's just so much of this stuff. The best ofs. You get them from Keith, but I gotta cut my time. But, man, there's just so much. Yeah. We got our own CPAC.
Canadian CPAC. We can't afford to fill out the rough patches in the letters, but Carney's going to say stuff, or one thing.
The days of our military sending 70 cents of every dollars to the United States are over.
That's how you do CPAC, right? That's how you... But they've been doing what?
The days of our military sending 70 cents of every dollars to the United States are over.
He must be talking about some other dollar. He can't be talking about the Canadian one. I'm sure it must be the Australian.
The days of our military sending 70 cents of every dollars to the United States are over.
The more he fails in Iran, the more he's going to feel like, who's the nearby victim?
Now we're looking at the possibility of troops on the ground. Can we make a little promise to each other? Can we try really hard? And this probably involves you policing me a little bit more closely than I police you. Can we try really hard not to say boots on the ground? Because they're human beings in those boots. It's people's partners, people's children, people's parents in those boots that Donald Trump is, shall we just say, somewhat uncaring of.
It's true.
Boots on
it's just true.
Ground. I understand
it's
the
not.
fact that, shall we just say, somewhat uncaring of. It's not boots on
totally uncaring of.
The ground. I understand the phrase, and it'll be a very lonely path.
Human beings who volunteered to wear those boots.
But I think it's important.
For a lot of money in many cases.
It's troops on the ground. It's people on the ground. It's humans.
Well-compensated folk who knew what they were walking into.
At risk and poised to make...
And who, you can't help but think that the other ones in the other lands do so with the same kinds of thoughts motivating them, or something in the domain of thoughts, like the same kind of sentiments motivating them. And so it's like, okay, thanks for protecting me from the kind of mindset that threatens me. That's also your mindset. But sure.
People's children, people's parents.
Yeah, sure, but...
You have troops on the ground. Can we make a little promise to each other? Can
we
try really hard? And this probably involves you policing me a little bit more closely than I police you. Can we try really hard not to say boots on the ground?
I can do that.
Because they're human beings in those boots.
I can do that much.
People's partners, people's children, people's parents, in those
people's dupes.
Candidate Senga Beresford, who offered support for Tommy Robinson and called for Muslims to be deported.
Well, all of them.
Well, it was a sort of general term. She at one point was supportive of the rally in London. She said,
"Deportation generalist.
I'm behind you all the way." That's to Tommy Robinson.
I'm a deportation particularist myself.
She also backed support.
Yeah, no one should ever be a generalist on deportation.
He at one point,
but no one should rule out deportation in principle.
Was supportive of the rally in London. She said,
no one's illegal. Yeah, some folks are illegal.
You're all the way. That's
and criminals. Sorry.
Well, it was a sort of general term. She at one point was supportive of the rally in London. She said, I'm behind you all the way.
Oh, but she's something else. She's making her debut. I just found out about her too.
To Tommy Robinson. She also backed up.
It's got to be something big if I'm doing a segment on someone who I just found out about.
After responding to a post on X made by the far-right group Britain First, where she said they posted, "In the UK, Muslims are demanding that Sharia law is implemented. I demand we deport the lot of them. Who's with me?" And Beresford replied, "Me."
I love it when the Britain First people love the America First people and can't figure it out. There can be only one first.
Reform have told the record.
Hang on, sorry.
It's about deport the lot of them. Who's with me?
Yeah.
Beresford replied, "Me."
Reform anti-generalist deportationists.
Told the record in Scotland they are aware of the comments, which they say are not criminal.
Right. Well, that's a relief. So that's someone else they vetted.
Yeah.
Okay.
One more Scotland story.
So, no, quick one on the actually Lennon, of course, because the things that he's currently been convicted for include, I think, immigration offences, mortgage fraud, assault, contempt of court. I mean, it's quite a long list, but up with that sort of thing.
You're right there to say there have been assault and mortgage fraud criminal convictions.
We've got an alleged racist and an alleged Tommy Robinson fan. They did. Hang on.
I didn't know I wound this far back from the clip. There's a clip.
A lot of vetting. Laura vetting, as the late great Cilla Black might have said. On you go.
Or Malcolm Offord. It's been with Scotland, James, before the candidates were announced, there was, as you can imagine, a press conference to announce these things. Sarah Pochin was there, who's the MP for Runcorn and Helsby.
I hope there weren't any brown faces in the room.
It was described as a bizarre speech because at one point...
it's a different one. The one before wasn't the one. It's okay, it's all the same.
You went off. Let me play you a little bit of what happened in the room. It was described as a bizarre speech because at one point her auto cue went off. Let me play you a little bit of what happened.
They call it an auto cue across the pond. It's a teleprompter, but they call it an auto cue. But this is what happens when renegade politician who's here to frighten the establishment, when their auto cue, or a teleprompter, as is the correct term, when it goes off.
I wanted very much to come up and be part of this conference today. Oh, my auto cue's frozen. And do you know what? The funny thing is about my auto cue freezing is my chief of staff and David Volk will go into a complete panic because once I start to ad lib, the press have a field day.
I want to be able to ad lib and have the press have a field day. I really do.
In fact, we were talking...
But, I wouldn't expect to win if I run for office, but there's people and, sometimes very entitled people who are like, I'm going to ad-lib and win.
About the reformed tartan, then.
At least I'm, grounded enough to know that, okay, I shouldn't expect to win. But I want to ad-lib and have the press have a field day so I can have a field day with the press right back.
Whilst I'm there, just waiting for my auto cue. And I really wanted to come on in a reformed tartan burqa, but it apparently... And I really wanted to come on in a reformed tartan burqa, but it apparently...
Something, hashtag not all. Yeah, it's like Christians and Jews... like combined, let's say, Christians and Jews combined in 2026, they just are worse than the Muslims combined by like a sliver, It's like these people can't handle it.
One day, let's have one of these.
Independently, it's a crapshoot, but if we just get to stipulate, we're going to combine the Jews and Christians, like we're going to combine America and Israel, and then have them do a lot of damage to the world. And then we look at what kind of damage to the world the Islamists do. And it's like, yeah, the Israel, US, Jew, Christian combo is worse by a sliver.
Events that aren't live streamed.
Yeah, hang on. Yeah, it's
we were talking about the reformed tartan, then
over,
whilst I'm there, just waiting for my auto cue. And I really wanted to come on in a reformed tartan burqa, but it apparently...
Yeah. It does work as lame as it is. It works because there's just that many fucking fragile progs who think that like their offense makes them something other than fragile.
Events that aren't live streamed, and we'll do it. We'll do all the naughty stuff. We'll do all the bits.
We'll do it live. We'll do it live.
When we do our pieces to camera and all the rest of it. Hilarious.
To say this
I'll write it and we'll do it live. Oh wait, I won't write it. It's ad-libbed.
It's not supposed to say Christ.
But O'Reilly will write it and they'll do it live. Oh, I got another musical thing here. Believe it or not.
It's just we are when the cameras aren't here. She's not supposed to say that out loud, is she?
I think it's
James
fair to say she was saying...
stuck in like 2014.
If you can tell the truth, you can talk about it. If you can't tell the truth because you sold your soul to Donald Trump's racism, misogyny and climate change 10 years ago and you still haven't got to tell the truth because you sold your soul to Donald Trump's racism, misogyny and climate change 10 years ago and you still haven't got a receipt for it, then you can't talk about Donald Trump's racism, misogyny and climate change 10 years ago and you still haven't got a receipt for it.
Climate change is like the big, the three pillars. So James doesn't really know anything about America. If he thinks climate change denial is one of the three big pillars, other two arguably
racism, misogyny and climate change.
Even misogyny, but especially climate change. It's like, James, no one even thinks about it over there. Like even the Dems scarcely think about it. But for James, he's like convinced.
Not knowing what you're supposed to do. If you can tell the truth, you can talk about it. If you can't tell the truth because you sold your soul to Donald Trump's racism, misogyny and climate change 10 years ago.
It doesn't even loom large, like even in New York, man, these days, climate change, it doesn't even loom large there, let alone in Oklahoma.
Haven't got a receipt for it. Then you can't talk about this war. And because we're not
But he'll keep spouting it.
About this war, we're going to be even more
climate
surprised
change
by the
is one of the big three that Donald got away with scamming others over. It's like, it's more like those Trump coins.
So here he is, condemning prayer. Literally condemning prayer. Literally saying that people gathering for an iftar event to which everybody was welcome is an act of domination.
Yeah.
There are 20 open iftar meals across the country this year.
Maybe.
United by the theme of hope. The irony is absolutely heartbreaking, isn't it? Organised by the Ramadan Tent Project at a time when Muslims in this country are facing more hatred and abuse than ever before.
But
iftar meals across for an iftar prayer. Prayer. Public life is bloody disgusting. So here he is, condemning prayer. Literally condemning prayer. Literally saying that people gathering for an iftar event to which everybody was welcome is an act
it was a bigoted condemnation of Muslim prayer.
of domination.
Yeah.
There are 20 open iftar meals across the country this year. United
God, all that domination, and you guys still have like free speech rights.
by the theme of hope.
Or do you?
Irony
Yeah,
is
maybe.
absolutely heartbreaking, isn't it? Organised by the Ramadan Tent Project at a time when Muslims in this country are facing more hatred and abuse than ever before.
No grounds for repurposed comedy segments.
And Nick Timothy, a Conservative MP, promoted to Shadow Justice Secretary by
He can say things many of the other ones can't.
Badenoch, has decided that this is both dominating...
Yeah, it just makes it worse. You know, UK is more skeptical of free speech because they got to, safeguard Muslim interests. But see, it didn't safeguard Muslim interests, did it?
And should be forbidden.
But yeah, let's dissolve prayer anyway.
Mass ritual prayer in public places is an act of domination, he didn't say the last time the Pope visited this country. Is the coronation an act of mass ritual prayer in a public place? It is, isn't it? Westminster Abbey is a public place. Admittedly, you and me were unlikely to get in on the day that the king got crowned. But
The whole the royals are pedos thing is like proven like 1/5 true. I didn't even know that the poem, the exchange, the sexting between him and him, the vicarious harm, would-be harm-doing sexting. I think that's what they're doing, and vicarious because it was really a really long time ago. But no, what was it? It was letters. It wasn't sexting, it was letters, I'm sorry. But the point is, the video is now uploaded, and I didn't even know that their, poetry to each other was here. I just thought it was the images, and then I maximized it. And it's, oh man, my video has even more fun stuff than I thought before I uploaded it. I just thought these was just some kind of scribbles, but that's exactly what they wrote to each other. I guess his people denied it because they just have to deny everything. Even stuff that doesn't even, call his reputation in doubt, they'll still deny it because it just might as a thing that it may be connected to later on. That's just how much they deny. But no, this was proven. But then I'm like, oh, it's in my video, and I didn't even know it. No, it's a Sarah also.
Like, whatever.
Yeah, and then it should have been. I shouldn't have done the boat burn. I milked the boat burn too much. It dawned on me after I uploaded it because I was just that eager to upload it because it's really long, man. It's like, yeah, and it's like not even near half done. So I just want to say, in retrospect, I shouldn't have done the boat thing this many times. It could have just stayed on. It could have just, had I known the text was here, like the text, the poems they wrote to each other as, a vicarious kind of would-be harm doer by way of sexual harm doer. That's what they did here. Like, it's undeniable. That's what they did here. Everyone read it, and he's still in the hot seat. As of the, what is it? Yeah, as of the 25th. It's the day after. It's the...
And everybody's just like...
No, it should have just been the text. Had I known the text, I would have done a zoom up of the text. Oh, imagine if it had been a zoom out from the text.
Whatever.
Yeah. And then MAGA says, whatever. And then you can do the vote. And then, yeah, fair. Then you can do the vote, arguably, unless there's something better. You know, it's just, I just overwhelm the, you know, laptop and the phone and everything by, you know, less intermission tasks henceforth, maybe, yeah. Oh, yeah, damn them, damn you, but not all of you, just some of you, and to a lesser extent, others of you who support the some of you, and then those who support none of it, like you're off the hook entirely, but damn you. Yeah, I think that's about as good a summary as you're gonna get on any Jewish anti-Semitism commentary, what I just did. You know, and it's not just Butters that bucks. Oh, it happened. Yeah, when I pause too much and like do segments of my own videos, yeah, the player. Oh, I shouldn't air this. Oh, I'll have to start this over. I reopened it. It won't crash this time, even though I did have to do a lot of, you know, to find it. Like, you think you're navigating just a tiny little bit when your video is insanely long, but then you actually know you're navigating quite a long bit away. But I'm back. And this just to say, you know, it's not just Butters that bucks gender trends with skirt and dancing and stuff. No, it's those who incorporate Butters and thereby leave it open to interpretation whether they too wear pink skirts as they dance to music. That's what it means to buck gender trends, is to use this. Yeah, but I don't wear pink skirts. I just dance. But what's this? Yeah.
It's gonna be in the best interest of America.
Indubitably.
Of America.
Yeah. How's that going?
Of America.
Yeah. How do you you've done it so many times. How do you still have any balls left? It's happened so much.
Of America.
Yeah, man, it didn't mean anything. It's almost as if it didn't mean anything, your faux transfer.
Of America.
And they most certainly did. Indubitably rickrolled. Like, the biggest rickroll in history is what Trump did to them in the last 17, or how many? 11 years.
Of America.
Yeah. Out of wolves to give.
Indubitably.
It's the debut of wankers.
It's gonna be in the best.
Yeah, I just came from there.
What can you tell us?
There's a bunch of sick fucks.
He made the familiar speech about how dreadful life is in communist countries. I think by and large that is true. I would question, I think the Cubans are better off under their present government than they were under that.
You say they are?
Batista, yeah, I would think so. The average person has a better life than he did before. When the mob was in there in the casinos, and it was a great rip-off place, a sort of whorehouse for the United States. It is no longer that. But in any case, I've never thought that Senator McCarthy ever had anything to do with external communism. There's nothing you could do about it. We were never given a mandate to regulate the internal affairs of any other country. This mandate was never given us by God or even by Congress. So therefore, any attempt made to suddenly say, well, these are awful governments. Of course they're awful governments. Some of them are, some of them aren't. So what? What we're talking about is smearing other Americans, preferably members of the Democratic Party, and trying to pretend that they are communists when indeed they're not.
Well, that touches me.
This country is divided about evenly between conservatives and reactionaries. I mean, the idea that there's any far...
Yeah, the more things change. Let's channel surf. Yeah, I used to do it all the time back in the day. Channel surfing. I'm sure you did too, if you're old enough, which I am. but this is a different kind of channel surfing than the one we're used to. The world of LSD, I'm sure Buckley had critiques. Yeah, I'm sure Buckley would critique, like, even bubblegum. Yeah, the world of bubblegum. It's going to distract you from whatever I'm pimping this week as the core of the country. William Buckley. Nah, Buckley's not that bad. And maybe LSD is more dangerous than I'm willing to let on, because it's not like I did it habitually. It's not like I'm that adventurous, but I am curious. But, like, yeah, Buckley wouldn't go in on it. Yeah. David Frum said Buckley was like the warmest, William F. Buckley was like the warmest, nicest human being, one of the nicest, warmest he's ever met. And then he said Gore Vidal was like a bitter, rotten, nasty, icky man, Gore Vidal. But Buckley was warm. And I'm like, you know what? Even if that's true, because I haven't met either of them, but, Frum has. Certainly he's well acquainted with Buckley, and it's not like he compared the two ever, but like he spoke separately, really glowingly of Buckley and really just nastily of Gore Vidal. And I'm like, yeah, even if it's true, I still like Gore Vidal more than Buckley, just per demeanor. Yeah, Gore wouldn't smirk after insulting you the way Buckley would, because Buckley's a worm. But maybe LSD is more dangerous than I'm willing to let on. What did I do? I took it far. Where did I take it? I took it down way too much. I hate America. You guys ain't seen nothing yet. Back in the, 60s or 70s, you guys ain't seen nothing yet. Yeah, James Baldwin didn't do anywhere near as well in the debate against Buckley as, like, the progs and the libs think he did. No, that's, like, the one performance where I thought, like, yeah, Buckley had a fine performance. He wasn't even snarky to James Baldwin. Although maybe he was, but it was black and white and I couldn't see the smirks. It was suicide. It was superpower. Yeah, Pat Buchanan, one of the many authors who wrote books titled The Death of the West. I'm like, man, don't you know, like, at least 4 guys did it before you, and then, like, 44 did it after you? The Death of the West. The Death of the West. A bunch of fucking weenies. Yeah, a lot of this coming up. A lot of Chiran coming up. But wait, there was one that I really wanted. Yeah, no Kangs just happened, and I just don't give a shit, because there have been no Kangs multiple times in 2025, and I'm not going to be, like, excited every time they do their big no Kangs protests, because I'm over it. I'm over sappy Americans, And, no one remarks on this, but the vast majority of the people who show up to these things are either in their, like, late teens or early 20s, or, like, 50s, 60s, and such. And that doesn't bode well. We need, people in their intellectual prime to show up to no Kangs protests. People who are, like, 40. But it seems like it's a bunch of munchkins and a bunch of, like, people who are old enough to be past their intellectual prime, But it's good that they showed up. The lawyer's role. Oh, man, I'm so glad I'm not in this world. Though some people are trying to drag me into it. Like former colleague wants me to testify as a witness in his favor. It's been like 4.5 years since he's been let go. And that suit, he's suing his former employer, my current employer. And these things just drag out so much. And it can be good for one's health to keep, because... something bad happened as a result of his termination, and he, like, wants me to be his witness because I was present for it. But I'm like, dude, it's my present employer. You want me to testify against my present employer? Are you insane? Don't you know that the lawyer's role will be to, like, justify, if they want to sabotage me and get rid of me, don't you know that the lawyer's role is to be paid well and help them succeed at that? So I'm not going to testify for him, and he's, a bit of an asshole. He doesn't contact me in like 4.5 years. I write him a text when he gets fired, and I say, that sucks, man. And he doesn't respond to me. And then, like, when he needs me 4.5 years later to be his witness, like, he sends me a text like, how you doing, man? As if he's just, like, interested to catch up. And we don't even exchange, like, 4 texts until he lets me know that he needs me to help him by being his witness. I don't think so, bud. Yeah, sure. I can't believe they're still doing WrestleManias. There hasn't been a single good one since 17 or arguably 18. And 18 was only good because the visual of Hogan and Rock and everyone losing their minds and cheering for Hogan. But Hogan sucked. But still, it was good that they cheered for him because it was good to see a bunch of happy people in Toronto in WrestleMania 18. But then it's like, it's been, how many WrestleManias has it been since 18? It's been like 24 WrestleManias since WrestleMania 18, and people still care. Yeah, I just don't get it, man. I just don't get how like wrestling fans cling on to wrestling for like non-nostalgia purposes. Like the only thing good about it is the nostalgia, you fucking morons. Talking to kids about grief. Man, it's the Obsessed with Death podcast. I don't know it, but it's the first time something's in the algorithm. And it's been a day, and it's got, like, literally no views. And it's apropos, right? Yeah, talking to kids about grief and about death-based grief. I guess there's some other kinds, but it's, like, so apropos, man. No views. Like, no one wants to. No one wants to. Clearly, like, no one in the world wants to get real and tell kids, you know, what kind of circumstances those kids have been brought into by their parents who will, you know, not outlive them. And that's kind of the better way. Is like, yeah, it's better that your kid grieves the death of your parents or their parents. Yeah, you know, it's so horrible to have to outlive your kid. That's like the worst thing ever. And yeah, it's true, but at the same time, you know, it's not good that kids have to grieve their parents when they outlive their parents. That's also not good at all. And yeah, no one wants to watch what is it? You know, it tastes awful and it works. Was it Buckley's Medicine? Yeah, it was Buckley's Medicine. Oh man, I'm tying all kinds of things together. It tastes awful and it works, and no one wants it.
Machine gun bacon.
Oh, this is the best. This one. It's V498.
A great deal of the work of punditry, one might very well say, I think the whole work and enterprise of punditry is that.
It's
really fun.
Okay, I know it's my fault.
V498. Yeah. He's what?
It's really fun.
Okay, I know it's my fault. I'm hypersensitive to it.
Why'd you natal?
Side of age.
And nataled.
A very large part of the work of punditry, you might even say the whole project of punditry, is that of reassurance. It's of telling people that basically they're in good hands and the system works.
I think it's V498 because it literally happened like almost 500 times in the course of this. That's why it's the best. It's his brats disrupting his train of thought. And he's like, darling. And then he dares say nothing else. He just says, darling. They're finally taking the trouble to come to my home and interview me, darling. It's like summer of 96, was it? It's like, yeah, Hitch got some fame. They came to his home. But, you know, the brats disrupted him. And he's like, darling. I was like, you're such a nice husband.
My favorite is always the period just after the transition team has left town and the inaugural, I'm sorry, I can't deal with that.
Keeps happening.
Yeah, okay.
He's gonna say.
I mean, I should just tell you. I mean, our essential. I think our essential message of the series is not to be too cynical about the system. But on the other hand, the last thing we are is Pollyannas, and we do want to sort of have these some of the more pretentious stuff, you know, punctured. Some of the balloons, the thumb sucking stuff.
Right.
You know.
Just kick him out, man. Just kick him out. It's okay. Give him some money and kick him out.
Part of the job of punditry.
And then you can have him come 24/7 and you can rant and, it's like no one's going to be freaked out.
You might almost say the essence of the job. A very large part of the job of punditry.
Punditry, yeah.
You might almost say the essence of the job of punditry in the modern world is that of reassurance, telling people that they're in good hands, that the system works. My favourite time is always just after the transition team has left.
You're never going to get beyond that.
Darling.
Yeah. What did you tell them? Were you firm? The trouble is, it's very irritating that I can hear them and they apparently can't hear me. Darling!
Yeah, there's the super mom and then there's the super dad. Yeah, you want it to be super dad.
More forgiving now that I
Yeah, men aren't much wiser, but he was remembered all kinds of stuff that happened like in Nicaragua in the 60s and 70s and how'd you remember so much trivia from like countries that have like nothing to do with you at all?
No, but what happens is you now realize you are the person who you used not to want to have to sit next to.
That's right.
Super dad.
A very great deal of the work of punditry, you might even say the whole project of punditry, is that of reassurance, of telling people that everything is fine.
Yeah, I think parents have to do that too.
That the system works, that they're in good hands.
Yeah.
I always love it.
My kids are in good hands, says me to my kids.
When the moment of hush comes at the inauguration of a new president, and you can count on it. The commentator will remind the
It's when mommy brings home a new daddy. Yeah, sometimes mommy has to bring home a new daddy.
See all this happening without a shot being fired, and how it's one of the splendors and glories of the United States that it's always been able to have successful and smooth transition.
Yeah, and then January 6th, 2021 happened, and the streak ended, and thank you, lucky stars, you weren't alive to see it.
I can remember, for example, David Broder, who must be, I suppose, the dean of the Washington punditocracy, when President Reagan accused the press of increasing his difficulties at the time of the Iran-Contra.
Another weenie, that Reagan, such a weenie.
Wrote an indignant column saying he couldn't understand how anyone could say this, and that he knew that he spoke for all his colleagues when he said that they would do anything to put this unpleasantness behind the American people and get on with the job of governing and renewing America. In other words, not subconsciously, but explicitly and consciously taking upon himself the responsibility of consensual, orderly, smooth functioning, democratically undisturbed government. You can look to the language in other ways and see the same process at work. The word partisan is always used as a term of pejorative. The word bipartisan is always used as a term of approbation. The word...
They still do it. Every now and then they still think they can do it. Like the Washington Post writers. Yeah, let's be nicer to neo-Confederates who are LARPing as Trumpists, but it's really about being neo-Confederates under a new garb.
Is the worst thing that can be applied to a politician, as if politics was not religion.
He really went into it in good detail here when he talked about just the structure of the Senate and how the seats are arranged so that it's for like consensus building. Whereas in the UK, where he's from, they're like the seats are arranged to be more combative and oppositional. Yeah. But, that's really how the US should have been designed. Because the US has far less reasons to continue being a country than the UK does. The US, I think for decades now, it really shouldn't have been a country. And now it's just ever more glaring.
The entire language of consensus can be read once you've mastered it, which doesn't take 5 years.
It's just such weasel language. Kind of like the weasel language that gets you to think that school's there to help you. School's there to be your friend and to teach you about the necessities of living.
In every headline in the New York Times, every op-ed piece in the Washington Post. Everywhere in the press except in the cartoons, as a matter of fact.
And it's gonna be in the best interest
helpless. Infant care with the breeding of patriots. Birth control with medals for mothers with 10 children. Have you not suffered it yourself, this idea of yours of a mother with 10 children? In other countries, too, the unfortunate little word, dictatorship.
Hang on.
Suffered it yourself, this idea of yours of a mother with 10 children?
Or just one or two.
Telling people that they're in good hands, that the system works. My favorite time is always just after the transition team has left.
You're never going to get beyond that.
Darling.
Yeah. What did you tell them? Were you firm? The trouble is, it's very irritating that I can hear them and they apparently can't hear me. Darling.
We're supposed to just sit here and love this crap. It's just poll numbers go straight down, and all the polls show the Republicans are going to lose the midterms in 7 months by a landslide. A disaster. A total and complete disaster. Trump is not that stupid. He's made some deal with the deep state to throw the election to the Democrats. That's the only thing this can be.
I go out and face this scum. They literally crawl out from under rocks. They have green looking skin. Imagine how bad she smells, man.
No.
I told her and Obama just speak.
When the man comes around.
Obama and Hillary both smell like sulfur.
When the man comes around. When the man comes around. Oh.
Literal vampire pot and the goblins.
But it's like people to this day, and people. This is the beauty of it. This is the beauty of having a reputation of being a prick. 80% of the people in the wrestling community think that I called Eddie Guerrero a vanilla midget after he passed, because that suits that story. I did it the night after we beat the shit out of him in Fayetteville, and I said, and Scott said about vanilla midget. I said, I don't know if Guerrero's exactly vanilla, because he was Latino. You could do things like that. You get canceled back then. I don't think you get canceled now, though, do you? I think Pam Bondi took care of that.
Little political reference, everyone.
Hey, I got a question for you guys. First of all, I got to say this. I'm so sorry. I apologize from the bottom of my heart. I did not vote for that. I would not piss down his throat if his stomach was on fire. It's like
it's the get out of jail Trump hate card. It's the
when you sit there and you have
vanilla lane
guy that's supposed to be like, to me, the president's the commander in chief. That's the most important thing that he does. I mean, he basically is in charge of the nuclear football.
Oh boy, howdy.
Here I am! We're playing Magic the Gathering. Want to join? Osama!
In some men, the prospect of a more or less imminent end excites energy, good or bad, and plunges them into a frenzy of activity. Artless enough to try to perpetuate themselves by their endeavor, by their work, they move heaven and earth to finish, to conclude it, not a moment to lose. The same perspective invites others to founder in what's the use, in a stagnant clear-sightedness, in the unimpeachable truths of despond.
Yeah, been there too. Yeah, it's both. It's both, man. It's both every time. It's Turan. It's a contradictory nature of everything.
For absence, which should have been a duty and an obsession, we have substituted the event. And every event encroaches upon us, devours us, since it occurs at the cost of our equilibrium, our duration. The more our future shrivels, the more we let ourselves sink into what is destroying us. Our drug civilization has so intoxicated us that our attachment to it offers all the characteristics of an addiction, a mixture of ecstasy and execration. In its present form, it will finish us off, no doubt about that. As for renouncing it, freeing ourselves from it, we can do no such thing, today less than ever.
I will tell you, this speech tonight will be classic Donald J. Trump. It'll be funny, it'll be entertaining. There will be some shots fired tonight in the room. So everyone should tune in. It's going to be really great. I'm looking forward to hearing it.